Hello, my biddies. How are you today? I'm good. The weather's beautiful. I do have an opening segment today, so that's good. I have nothing to report on my life. I'm eating fake oranges. Say hello in the chat if you're actually here. Always says I have 5 listeners and then they all disappear right away. They're all bots. It's ridiculous. They should ban that. It's ridiculous. Trying to think. I had a pretty good night's sleep. I woke up at 6 and I actually managed to get back to sleep for a couple hours. That was nice. My husband was late. He didn't leave until 8:30 to go to work. He's supposed to be there at 8:30. He usually goes in a little later anyway. But he also stays later than everybody else. Everybody else goes home at 5:30. At 4:30, sorry. At 4:30. He usually stays till at least 5, mostly like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Um, so that is that. I'm trying to stay away from news and crap. Colbert's not on anymore to make me feel happy, so I can't see my next husband anymore. Oh, bugs are still here bugging me. Trying to get rid of them. I can't tell how it's going because it's too cold in the house. My husband left all the windows open last night. It was 45 degrees, and he left all the windows open. Thankfully, it's supposed to be 80 today. I have the window open now because it's only 65 in here, but it's 70 outside, 75 outside right now. Why is that not disappearing? I don't like it when it doesn't disappear. It didn't update, and it took off my automatically hide the taskbar thing. There it goes. I don't like looking at it all the time. I only like it when I want it. There's a new browser out there, apparently, but it doesn't play videos. So we can't use it. Apparently, you have to have permission to play any kind of video on the internet, and in all the browsers need permission. It's crazy. That's insane. Like, why do you need permission? Google has it. They pay for it. They have to pay for it. It's silly. It's completely silly. Okay, our reality roundup is Bailing Out Loud, season 3, episode 2, Altered Plans. Altered is spelled like at the altar, not alter, like alter something. So we start back at the bachelorette party. Colin is seeking advice from Colleen and Esther to give a wedding speech. She's nervous about it. She doesn't do public speaking. The guys cooked the gals back breakfast. Breakfast wasn't perfect, but the girls were not complaining about it. Colin implies that Colleen kept him alive when he was at his lowest point in his life. I am not worried about Colin. What if that happens to him again? Thankfully, he has Balin now, too. I think she helps him a lot. Colin says Balin should talk to Sammy about her maid of honor expectations. Balin goes to talk to Sammy about it. They chat online, of course, because Sammy ain't traveling. And Balin has too much to do. Sammy has a fit about the bachelorette party again. Balin tells Sammy everything she has to do, big and small, that she got from Google. Sammy didn't seem to realize that she was in charge of bridesmaids and communication with the wedding party. Did she not look up what she was supposed to be doing at the wedding? Since she's maid of honor, you know that comes with duties, right? Maybe she didn't know she was supposed to plan the bachelorette party. Maybe that was the main issue, was that Sammy doesn't know what she's doing. Balin and her mom go to a Christmas market. She tells her mom about her conversation with Sammy. Balin squeezes her hot chocolate and goes everywhere. She gets it all over her gloves. People step in to help. They offer her wipes and they even offer her gloves. Balin is grateful for the assistance. Mom brings up the fact that the wedding venue has similar issues to the bachelorette accommodations. Balin, Colin, Julie, and Beckner go skating. This was most of the episode. I swear it was like half the episode, and nothing happened. They talk about who's the best skater. It was boring. It was boring and unnecessary. It did not move the conversation, the plot forward at all. Colin and Balin put up the tree, and we hear a recap of the Balin-Sammy convo again. They have a pink tree with pink lights. Colin is very understanding. Go for Colin. Green flags for Colin. Where's the flags at? Green flags for Colin for putting up with the pink Christmas tree and pink lights. He's a good guy. Balin wants to change the wedding venue. Colin complains about starting over, but they haven't done anything, so are they really starting over? They meet with the wedding planners, who have done nothing, by the way, and tell them that they want to change the venue. Okay, so the wedding planners, I guess, got hotel blocks. So I guess they've done the bare minimum, make a couple of phone calls. That is all. They're changing the venue for the wedding, 6 months from the wedding. Just FYI, 6 months out from the wedding. What do you think? Let me know in the chat or in the comments. I don't need that. So we'll get to Reddit reads from now. The first read is from entitled people entitled "My Coke Habit Got Me in Trouble." Well, not really, but I did have to pee in a cup. So it's been a long weekend. 2 sons and I were helping my daughter move. It was a nice warm weekend, and so our last load to her house, I decided to treat the crew and myself to Slurpees from this local 7-Eleven. Much to my dismay, the Coke dispenser was doing a thaw cycle and wasn't available. The rest of the crew likes the other flavors, so they were at least satisfied, but I had to settle for Dr. Pepper instead. Nothing wrong with Dr. Pepper. Actually might be superior. We get to our new house, everything unloaded, and I peel off as I have to get to work in a few hours. Quick shower, get into my uniform. I'm a paramedic. And since it's been a while, I'm really craving a Slurpee. I stop at the same 7-Eleven on my way to the station. The machine finished cycling and was running. Yay. As I'm paying, the clerk who sees me all the time jokes, "Had to come back for one, didn't you?" To which I said, "Yeah, this Coke habit is a crutch." I wish I had made that joke as some woman heard that and started ranting about how I shouldn't be doing drugs. I explained a joke to her. I have a thing for Coca-Cola Slurpees, to the point that it's a habit of getting them. Coca-Cola is often shortened to Coke. I have a habit of getting Coke Slurpees. Coke habit. Nope, the woman would not listen. She started ranting more about EMS staff should not be taking drugs. I mean, caffeine is a drug, I guess. She's going to report me to the department and storm off. I get to the station and I went straight away to the captain's office. I explained what happened, and the woman threatened to report me. He said if he did, we'd deal with it then. He asked me if I were to be drug tested, would the results come back clean? I said that without hesitation. They would. He sent me on my way. In the middle of dinner, the captain calls me to his office and says that I have to go home for the rest of the shift. And then I'm reported to one of the local labs in the area to take a drug screening, and then I'm not to come in until the results are processed, typically 3 days. Yes, miserable twat waffle reported my ass, and I'm put on the inactive roster. Until the results are in. Is this paid time off? Because it should be, because that's bogus. He already knew it wasn't real. Naturally, they came back clean, so the captain called me yesterday and said that I was cleared to come back. Since it was a false report, I hadn't done anything illegal or dangerous. I'm still getting paid for the mini staycation. I'm back to work later that day. Thankfully, he's getting paid because I can imagine a scenario where he wouldn't be, even though some idiots. Well done, lady. You achieved wasting taxpayer dollars, getting me tested for making a joke, and letting me sit at the home playing Minecraft while binge watching some shows I've been meaning to catch up on. Way to go, you miserable bitch. Top comment is for Elder One, and they say, "At least you got a few days off paid. Hope you enjoyed yourself." John Moore says you can claim in small claims court after her filing a Freedom of Information claim to ID her. Jay Random says probably has a case for slander. Talk to a lawyer and your union rep if you're part of a union. She could get in trouble. That would be nice. She needs to be honest. She needs to. Because he even explained that he was joking about a Coca-Cola habit he has. Coke Slurpees are not Coke, lady, just so you know. Lazy Helicopter is the second top rated comment, and it says, I spot an opportunity there for additional time off. Satburner says, I worked with a lady who would occasionally have people she knew report her for seeming high. She'd then get sent to be drug tested, be off until the results came back. Since it always came back clean, she'd get paid. Eventually, she did it too many times and management started asking questions. She confessed and was fired. They could only prove one time because she only confessed to the most recent. So she only had 3 days, had to pay back 3 days of pay. Lazy Helicopter says, answers brilliant. I just don't know why she confessed. Yeah, never confess to things you do that can get you in trouble like that. Their top right comment is from Goddamn Shadow Ban. The thing that annoys me is she will live her life thinking she was right, and God knows the idiot who short-staffed a ambulance crew. Puff Waffle says, turns out she died of a heart attack later that day. Sadly, the ER crews are short-staffed, and the ambulance was on an ambulance maker. Make it in time. Make it to her in time. Murder by Words entitled Tax the Empty Rich Houses Now. Ashley Moody, whoever she is, she must be from Florida. The last thing you see before you move to Florida is Mem Donnie saying, well, we're taxing the rich. And Aaron Rudenberg says literally a tax on empty luxury properties that no one lives in. These people already live in Florida, dumbass. Yes, the people with the rich empty houses in New York are in Florida, living in Florida. It's been a thing for a really long time that people from New York retire to Florida. I mean, I get not wanting to deal with the weather, but Florida, really? It's nasty. It's hot, it's humid, it's nasty. I've been to Florida. It's fine in the winter when it's 75 degrees in November and people are out sitting outside with their coats on. It's hilarious. But Florida, I think I would retire somewhere else. Arizona, maybe. At least it's not Florida. At least it's verging on purple there. Next, we have Big Bend National Park, bad review. Speaking about Hot Springs Historic District, danger at Hot Springs from Fearless in Cedar Park, Texas. Please be careful going to the hot springs. My boyfriend and I love to go at night and have done so our previous 6 times there. Last night was scary. Upon entering, there's a sign that says frequent car break-ins. There was a trailer truck there that someone was obviously sleeping in, but it was so sketchy. I had the sensation that it was not safe to go. We turned our car around quickly. When we left, there was a tree. There's an area on the road barricaded off. I saw a car parked in the dark behind the barricade. We drove by the car, and there were 2 very sketchy-looking men in the front seat that tried to hide when our headlights hit them. Please just be careful. Okay, that was legitimate. For once, we have a legitimate concern. The police need to be out there, the police or the rangers. That's legitimate. That's a legitimate concern. I will give them that. Usually they're bad. Usually they have nothing to do with the review. Half the times the reviewer are positive reviews and they're 1 star. Next, we have traumatized them back and said it's entitled, "Do you have teeth like this lady when you grow up?" Do you want Next, we have traumatized them back and it's entitled, "Do you want to have teeth like this lady when you grow up?" I'm currently in the slow, painful process of getting my teeth fixed. I had an abusive ex over 10 years that had knocked out or damaged most of my front teeth. That's really sad. I'm sorry, LP. I'm glad you got out and I'm glad you're getting your teeth fixed. I just got a full upper arch implant done January this year. Self-esteem game changer, by the way, was able to confidently smile again. Prior to that, I was missing my 4 upper front teeth and using a dental flipper to boost my self-esteem when out in public. If a flipper, if in case you didn't know, is just a little device that you put in your mouth to make it look like you have teeth. They use them in child beauty pageants when the kids lose their teeth. Oh, I guess she does. A dental flipper is a lightweight plastic prosthetic used strictly for appearance. It can be used to replace one or several missing teeth. They can't be used for eating less, or at least they shouldn't be. This occurred at my primary dental office. At the time, I had just finished up with my appointment for a cleaning. I was in the waiting room area, putting my flipper back in when a woman and her kid came up to me. She demanded I tell the kid that I lost all my teeth because I didn't brush and floss every day and only ate junk food and drank nothing but soda and chocolate milk. Demanded. Ma'am, there are other reasons people lose their teeth. Some people have diseases, like that kid on Stranger Things. He has a disease. That's why his teeth are all messed up. Some people are prone to cavities. Some people have their teeth knocked out by their spouse. Her kid was like 3 or 4, so hopefully didn't understand anything I said next because I looked thoroughly confused and said it. Mom made sure understood though. Well, actually, I used to have an abusive boyfriend who didn't like how I smiled at him one day. So he slammed my face into a kitchen table repeatedly and knocked them out to teach me a lesson. It was like watching cartoon in real life, the way you could see the color just drain from her entire being before her soul left her body playing harp. This chick has a way with words, good for her. She practically flew out of the waiting room with her kid and the tech came out to call them back. Don't demand other people, let alone strangers, try and scare your child into listening to you. You might not like what they say to scare your child into obedience. Infused Fraggle is a top-rated comment. Oof. I'm glad you escaped with only facial damage rather than death. Yeah, me too. I'm super happy to hear that your healing is still progressing and you are still able to get further help along the way. As for that mother, I hope she had learned a decent lesson about assuming and manners. I doubt it will stick. Southern Girl says yes to all of this. The audacity is honestly insane. My mom lost her teeth in a domestic violence situation, and I can't imagine my reaction if LP was my mom and happened to be there when the lady had the audacity. I know I don't look good in the orange, but I feel this would push me over the edge to orange jumpsuit territory, especially with the state of everything else going on right now. LP, I'm so glad you're in a better place now. Sending us so much love. Deb Strong says, glad you haven't lost your sharp wit and sense of humor. Me too. That might be part of her ex didn't like her because she was smarter than him, and it showed. Very likely. Very likely. Prettiest Kitty says, my abuser messed up my baby teeth my abuser messed up my teeth badly too. So I feel deeply for you. Such a devastating feeling to have such permanent damage as a daily reminder. I don't yet have the money to access dental repair, but my heart is so happy that you are getting yours fixed. It fills me with joy that you're getting your smile back. Screw that, Mom. Scorp says, I'm sorry you went through this too. There are several organizations that help those who have suffered domestic violence get their smile back. There are grants available. And it's givebackasmile.com and cosmetic dentistry grants.org. And she's very happy that someone mentioned those. And I am too. Next, I have What Should I Do? Entitled, My coworker confided in me that he's working remotely from another country for 6 months without telling HR, and now there's an audit. My coworker, we're pretty close, told me in October he had quietly moved to Portugal and was just logging on like normal without telling anyone. He made me promise not to say anything, and I kept that. Fast forward to this week, I'm sitting at my desk playing Stake on my phone, and HR sends out a company-wide email saying they're doing a compliance review on remote work locations because of tax and legal stuff. Apparently, it's a bigger deal than I realized, that companies can get in serious trouble if an employee is working from a different country without proper registration or whatever. He texted me freaking out, asking if I knew anything about the audit, and I said no. But now I'm in this weird spot where I don't know if I should stay completely out of it or give him a heads up that this is more serious than just HR being nosy. I'd give him a heads up. He's a friend. He's a friend. I'd give him a heads up. I didn't do anything wrong, but I knew for months and said nothing. Does that make me responsible in any way, or do I let it figure it out on his own? Angry Frodo is a top rate comment, and it says, I don't recall, I don't know, etc. Medical Ad says this, not your monkey, not your circus OP. Electric Bar says always use a VPN. Strange Breadfruit says, my immediate thought is I hope he's using a VPN in one little show that he was in a different country than the one he's in. Danny answers, you are aware the VPN usage would show in an audit. Zanohild says that doesn't mean they're actually abroad though. Yes, that's true. I'm using a VPN right now. It's out of Chicago. I'm nowhere near Chicago. I wouldn't say nowhere near. I can drive to Chicago in a few hours, but I'm not in Chicago. With how our IT is set up, I have active VPN 100% even at HQ. Edit, this wasn't VPN makes me invisible herder. I was countering someone who says he's using a VPN, so he's in a foreign country. Next top-rated comment is from Plant Lady, and she says, forget he told you that and stay out of it. The Vintage Jane answers, no, forget means you say, I can't remember when asked, and no, he never told me that. And not, no, he never told me that. Henri Oslo says, answers, I have no recollection. ETA, thank you for the award. They all got rewards. Practical Mud says, I think he said something about Portugal or Oregon. Carbon Maid says, yeah, he moved to Port Ugal. I thought it was some suburb. Manis says, oh, is that a different country? Negative number says, not your issue at all. He chose to take a major risk. Now he might face consequences. Nothing you can do for him. Nothing that you should do for him. He's his own man. He made his own choices. Ribbit answers a removed comment. This, not your pig, not your farm. Yeah, I would give the buddy a heads up that they're doing that. This is really serious, because he may not know. But other than that, I don't know anything. I don't know what he does. I don't even know him that well. Next, we have malicious compliance, and it is entitled, my professor said any source is valid as long as I cite it properly, so I cited him. It's good. This was junior year research methods class. Our professor, I'll call him Dr. K, had this thing where he would make bold claims during lectures without citing anything and then get annoyed if students pick back on it. Classic. I have a PhD, so my word is the source energy. At some point, he made a sweeping statement about consumer behavior that directly contradicted something I had read in 2 separate peer-reviewed papers. I raised my hand and mentioned this, and he said, and I quote, this is my class. Any source is valid as long as you cite it correctly. The quality of your argument is what matters. Okay. I wrote my next paper arguing the opposite of this claim. My primary source for the counter argument was his transcript I made of his own lecture from 3 weeks earlier, when he said something that, read carefully, actually undermined his newer position. I cited his last name, first name, class lecture, course number, university name, date. Formatted exactly according to the citation guide he gave us on day one. He handed back papers with written comments. Says, mine said, interesting argument, strong structure, and then at the bottom, this citation is not acceptable. Please see me. I went to see him. I brought the citation guide. I told him the format. I showed him his own quote. I asked which part of the citation requirements I had failed to meet, and it was a long pause. He changed my grade from a B plus to an A minus and said the citation was technically valid, but in poor taste. I've never felt more seen by a grade in my life. Yeah, they really hate it when you point them out. They said something wrong. I've had that happen to me in class. Small human being says, the fact he upped your grade after being proved wrong. OP answers right. I think it was him trying to save face without fully admitting the A minus still stings a little, but technically valid, but in poor taste is honestly a compliment I think about sometimes. Second top rate comment is potato. They say, kudos to the prof for taking down the chin. The third top rated comment is, you're technically correct, the best kind of correct. Next, we have the Avila Tower in Belgrade, Serbia, which we have seen before. I feel like we're getting repeats now. Pretty sure we've seen this before. Neat picture, though. I really like it. I do like the picture. Kylo Ren, is that you? It says I'm Matt. Goalie font says, fun fact, built in 1965, destroyed in 1999 with 2 laser guided bombs and rebuilt in 2009. Somebody else says it looks like a shot from Star Wars. Somebody answers are Dune. Somebody says I was going to say Blade Runner. Somebody else mentions a game called Black the Fall. Next, we have AITAH, and it's an update. For refusing wedding gift knowing there would be strings attached. Let's go see the original. I do have it. I should have it. Oh, there's an original post right here. AITAH for refusing a wedding gift knowing there will be strings attached. My fiance, 32 male, and I, 31 female, got engaged on Christmas Eve. Until recently, I had been in a great relationship with this family, his mom especially, but ever since engagement, it's become really strained because she keeps trying to insert herself in our decisions, offering unsolicited advice, and I'm slowly getting at my wit's end. A few things have annoyed me. One, we want a maximum around 50 people. My fiance and I are both introverts, and even the thought of being in front of that many people gives us anxiety. There are plenty of introverts that have bigger. My husband and I are both introverts, and we had 100 people at our wedding. My grandmother wanted to invite her and charter church, and I told her no, we're not doing that. I don't even like those people. With our close family and friends and their plus ones, we probably get over 50. His mother wants the wedding to be a grand event with at least 150 guests. Hell no. I found a gown in a magazine I love, and it's going to be my inspiration. It's more on the simple side, but that's my style. I showed my best friend, my mom, and my future mother-in-law because I did want her to feel included, and she insisted it was too plain and everyone will think I'm just another guest at my wedding, being the only one in white. Don't put it past your mother-in-law to dress in white just to irritate you, just to make sure you look like a guest. The venue we're thinking about is too small and boring. The on-site catering is not special enough because my fiance is an only child. It needs to be a grand affair. You need to get a guest list to her so she can review and approve who's coming. No, this is our wedding, not yours. No. The only people who have to approve who's coming to a wedding are the people that are getting married at the wedding. Thankfully, me and my fiance is on my side, and about 6 weeks ago, called her and said, we know what kind of wedding we want to have, and she needs to stop overstepping and questioning our choices. In an attempt to punish him and assert her authority, she went radio silent for until last week. That's not a bad thing. She invited us to dinner on Sunday and presented us with a check with $25,000 to help with the wedding. Oh no, I'm not taking that. No, no. Then we got home. I told my fiance we are not cashing the check. He thinks I'm being ridiculous, and this can help us have the wedding we want with almost no out of pocket costs. I told him we won't have the wedding we want because she's going to use the money to leverage and push the event in the direction she wants. And she insisted on including her friends we don't know and don't care about. She's going to say, "Oh, I thought the money would help cover them." Then go dress shopping. It'll be that simple. I thought with the extra money you'd get something nicer. When we finally choose our venue, it'll be, oh, is what exactly is my money paying for? My fiance said it'll cause a huge rift if we don't accept the money because his mother is extending an olive branch and being generous. But I tried telling him it'd cause a bigger rift. If she gets it in her mind to say our choices because she's paying for it, I shut her down every time. I feel like I'm being positioned as bridezilla. My fiance thinks I'm overreacting, and it's the tension in the last few months exposing itself. Even my mother said she would just accept the gift. So AITA. No, I wouldn't do that. Top comment is from Positrami, and they say NTA, I'd take the money and put it in a separate account to earn interest or just consider $25,000 your zero balance and continue excluding her from decisions she's been doing. If she ever demands her money back, just send it right back and tell her it looks very poorly on her to use the gift as leverage. This makes it a win-win scenario. You're still financing the wedding yourselves. You use the wedding money for whatever you want, assuming she accepts being excluded. And if she doesn't, you make a little bit of interest and don't actually fund yourself a hole. OP says they like that. I like that too. Well, here's the update. Update. Hi, everyone. I posted here a couple of weeks ago and got some wonderful advice. A few people asked for an update, and I thought I'd let you know what happened. It's not good. Oh, no. If you didn't see my original post, my future mother-in-law offers $25,000 towards our wedding, but I knew there would be strings attached to make the event her way. I thought maybe I was the a-hole for overreaching or seeing something that wasn't there, but you all told me I was 100% correct. So I decided to have a heart-to-heart with my future mother-in-law, with my fiance attending too. I told her that I miss the relationship we used to have. It's become strained because I feel like she has not accepted the choices we have made for our wedding. We explained that we are not depositing the check until we have this conversation. We are all on board about how to move forward. I know we didn't need to provide a rationale. We just required acceptance, but I thought it would help her to understand. The wedding size. I reminded her that my fiance and I are introverts and we would be maxed out emotionally and mentally with 50 people. And quite frankly, we only want people who have been a part of our lives to be there to celebrate with us. There's no need for childhood neighbors to attend. There's no need for distant cousins we haven't seen in 15 years to attend. Just the people who have been with us on our journey. The wedding gown. This is non-negotiable. The bride chooses her gown and I will be choosing the one I feel comfortable with. This is not the first time I will be wearing a dress since prom. It reflects my personal style, makes me feel beautiful, not anyone else's personal style. Yeah, I'm one of those people who rarely ever wears dresses. The venue. Okay, this is a bit cringe, but my fiance and I met at a speed dating event at a restaurant that was running 4 years ago. We hit it off, and here we are. Our absolute first choice for the reception venue was this place. Their event space will fit 50 at max. Good. That sounds like a perfect place to have the reception. We thanked her for her generous $25,000, but we would give it back if our decisions aren't respected. We also asked if she had any expectations around any decision making that comes with the gift. My future mother-in-law cried and apologized and told us she wanted everything to be perfect, and she said she never had a daughter, so she can play a normal motherly role wedding planning. Your daughter's not going to let you get away with this either, lady. Trust me, I'm the daughter. I know. She was so scared that I'd leave her out of everything, which I never did, and I want her to feel included. So there you go. We had a resolution. We deposited the check and started moving from the spitballing ideas to confirming vendor stage. When I got called the restaurant I wanted for the reception, the private function room was unfortunately booked out for a specific date. We can't change it, that we can't change. I would be changing the date. You can definitely change the date. Actually, you shouldn't even pick the date until you talk to your venues. That's crazy. That you would pick a date and then talk to the venue. Like, what the heck are you doing? So we looked for other options. A few days ago, I got a call from the wedding planner who proceeds to tell my future mother-in-law hired her to help with the wedding. WTF. I called my future mother-in-law and she explained that my fiance mentioned we lost our preferred venue and wanted to take some pressure off my shoulders hiring a wedding planner. She insisted the planner was just to do background admin tasks. Okay. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sure why a wedding planner is needed for a small wedding or why they even bother taking the job. They take the job because it's money. They charge you the same whether you have 150 guests or 150 guests. My mother-in-law wants to spend her money on things to make it little easier on me. That's fine. I met with the planner twice, described me her vision for the wedding. She said she'd put together some bookings to view venues, taste cakes, etc. Why didn't Balin's people do that? They should be having her taste cakes and catering. Here's where the crap hits the fan. The planner sent us a list of venues she booked for us to see. We had looked online. All the venues are large, like designed for 200 guests. We're confused and we went to the first appointment yesterday. My fiance joked that 50 people won't need this much dance room. The planner looked confused and explained future mother-in-law contacted her last week to explain that we were considering expanding the wedding and we would need a bigger space. We got home and I called my mom, cried to her that it was all just too much and we were considering eloping. My mom's spidey senses tingled and she called the original restaurant we wanted and was like, I'm calling about event my sister is planning and she's so forgetful. I wanted to confirm she's booked the private function room for date and my sister's maiden is mother-in-law's name. Guys, this bitch booked the fucking venue out from under us. She booked it and paid a deposit to secure it so we couldn't have it. I can only imagine she did this to convince us to book a larger venue and host a larger reception. The way I would go no contact with this mother so fast. Like, you don't do that. That's just evil. But again, pick your venue, get your venue in writing before you decide the date of the wedding. Just saying. My fiance called her and tore her a new one. He told her she's no longer involved in any aspect of planning. We will not be working with her planner. All venues will be password protected, and she's lucky she's even still invited, but will only be intended as a guest. No speech, no mother-son dance. He also told her that if she interferes at all again, she will not even be allowed as a guest. We transferred the money back to her account. I told him I'm going no contact. I really don't want her there, but I will be polite on our wedding day because I don't want drama. Then I'm back to no contact for good, and he's 100% backing me out. Necessary Sir says, wow, she's insane. Booking it behind your back is psycho. It is. That's crazy. I would not have even thought to do something like that. That's how crazy it is. Like, normal people don't do crap like that. OP says, I kind of wish I didn't find that out. It was like the twisting of the knife, but it was the one thing that really opened my eyes. Summit Junkie says, make it a condition of being invited as a guest that she call the restaurant and transfer the reservation for the private event on that date to you. She can leave the deposit there. That's her penance. Honestly, if she don't do that, if she wants to spend her money and keep a space, she won't use just to take something you really want from you. She doesn't deserve to be a guest and no contact. Should start now. If she wants to make it right, she'll give you back your venue. NTA. Finder's Risk says the fiance can call Zoom check parent and calmly present it as a prerequisite to attending. Is mother-in-law married? Does she have a husband? Is there a dad-in-law involved in this? It says, even if the mother-in-law does it, OP and her fiance can no longer trust her. Her acting and scheming are just another level. She's the kind of person you need to watch your back from. At least OP and her fiance have each other. As long as you support and trust each other, you can overcome anything with a monster like that. Sometimes you can't, though. Sometimes people just don't have the fortitude for it. And that's okay. It causes issues, but it's okay. I mean, I don't know what to say. Next, we have neighbors from hell. It's entitled, "Entitled Neighbor Demands My Information Because I Declined Her Email." I'm the moderator for my neighborhood email group. It used to be free for all, but it got nasty with neighbors verbally attacking each other and cursing. Now I review all incoming emails to make sure they are appropriate. Over 98% of them are regarding lost packages or recommendations on local businesses slash services. I also allow criticism of the board and HOA president as long as it's kept civil and constructive. Neighborhood recently had some renovations with our mailboxes and some changes that took adjusting to. People were addressing the concerns the HOA was responding. Everything was civil until Karen entered the chat. Karen responded that the work had been a waste of money since it wasn't productive to the conversation. I told her I was declining her email and why. Her response was, "You have no right to decline my email. Do not do so. If you have violated this, provide your name and contact information." My response was that I own the box and choose which emails are allowed to prevent neighborhood drama. Karen, this is a free country, not North Korea. This is not the government, ma'am. It's not the government. It's your neighborhood. Different thing. I live here and I can say what I want. This group is a way for us to contact freely with others. If that's not the case, delete the group and notify all the members. Give me your name and contact information. At that point, I stopped responding and sent the email to the board. I told them I would no longer inform her when her emails were declined. They agree that this is the right response, and she's had other complaints against her previously. She later tried to push another one through, telling the gate repairman that he didn't know how to do his job and he was installed the gate incorrectly. The gate was fine. Those got declined as well. She is now back asking for my information. The board is also discussing if they want her removed from the neighborhood email group. She would still receive official HOA emails, but not the social ones. I'm tired of her harassment, and I'm afraid she finds my address. She will harass me further. She will, and then you can get a no contact order in. Josh Carrot says, "Oh, she absolutely will harass you further if she gets any contact details. Hold firm and don't give her anything." Well, P answers, "Oh, absolutely don't plan to. She seems to be the type that I violated her rights to sue. Once I have board approval, I will probably remove her from the group. If I ever put my address for any reason, she would know and would go after me further. I don't think she was ever told no as a child." Second top rated comment is from Happy Medicine. They say people jump on freedom of speech so fast and don't have a winging clue what it means. They sound like a third graders mouthing off to a teacher, then crying about getting detention. Ella Bunny says, "Yeah, a lot of people confuse free speech with I can say anything I want without consequences, and that's just not how that works." Matt Davies says, "And they completely misunderstand the right only applies to the government suppressing speech, not private entities." Exactly. James is the third type rated comment, and they say every community has a local loon. The local loon in our small towns has decided that I am evil. She has impugned my character on social media and in public meetings. She has accused different individuals of profiting from their volunteer work on behalf of the city. At a recent city council meeting, she used her 5-minute agenda to slot to defame many fine people. Her rambling diatribe was a creepy glimpse of a deranged mindset. I was tempted to interrupt and scream, "Say, Karen, are you off your meds?" However, reasoning with a crazy person doesn't work. The only thing is to ignore the looniness to carry on with what needs doing. Status Biscotti answers, "Our town has a City Named Neighbors Facebook. For all those First Amendment enthusiasts, there's also a City Named Neighbors Uncensored group." Blue Betas also answered that one, the last also answered James. Blue Betas also answered James. In our neighborhood, the app originally had a community page where people could post things when they needed to inform neighbors about something. It was a great function until one neighbor went off the rails, paranoid the people on the street wanted to kill her paranoid. Ranting about how people are trying to break into the neighborhood to kidnap her kids, and then proceeded not to allow her daughter to play outside with her friends. There are a few of us concerned about her daughter because no one saw her for over 6 months. Right before the daughter disappeared, one of the friends invited her to come over to a friend's house and play. They had been friends for years, so it was a shock when the crazy lady demanded the friend's mom hand over her driver's license to hold on to while the girls played. That's insanity. Crazy lady would only give it back once her daughter was back home safe to deter the friend's mom from kidnapping her daughter. Her friend's mom said no because they've known each other for years and it was a crazy request. The crazy ladies then said their kids were no longer allowed to play together. It was the last time anyone saw Crazy Lady's daughter in the neighborhood, calling the police because the neighbor across the street was brandishing a weapon when in reality there was no weapon. We were taking out the trash. They were taking out the trash. Ranting about how people shouldn't be confronting the strangers who jumped the pool fence to use the outdoor shower, asked them to leave our gated community. They should call the police instead because police are trying to deal with trespassers. The neighbor she was referring to was military police officer, calling the police because a teen saw her waving at him from her front room window, so he went to the front door to ring the bell while she was waving at him. The police had to explain to her that that's not trespassing if someone rings her doorbell. She posted about how the HOA are racist and targeting her family because she received a warning about breaking the parking rules and her husband, not her, Hispanic, ignoring the fact that there are multiple races represented on the board, including Hispanic. The board hit a point where they disabled the community page in the app because she refused to stop posting. It was easier than dealing with her. Why didn't they just block her? They were just done and stopped responding to all of her complaints about the neighbors because they were all lies. I really miss how great that neighborhood was, but I do not miss the crazy lady. That's insanity. Next, we have Benign Existence, and it is entitled, I realize someone's been quietly looking out for me and I didn't notice until now. I live in an apartment building and work kind of weird hours, so I'm usually getting home late. There's this older guy in my building that I've only talked to a couple times, just small talk on the highway, nothing memorable. A few months ago, I started noticing that the hallway light near my door was always on when I got home, even really late. I assumed it was just on a timer or something. Last night I got back earlier than usual. I saw him out there changing the bulb. I made a joke about how that light never seems to burn out. He said something like, yeah, I keep an eye on that one since you're usually coming home after dark. I didn't really know what to say, just thanked him. It kind of stuck with me. Such a small thing. I don't have a lot of people in my day-to-day life looking out for me like that. I don't even think he sees it as a big deal. Anyway, I just thought it was nice. Bake him some cookies. Bake this man some cookies. He deserves cookies. If he's diabetic, make diabetic cookies. Francine Nolan says, it's nice and very caring. I'm glad he's looking out for you. That's what really community is really all about. Second type comment is Camet. We all need to be that man. Yes, we do. To watch out for your neighbors, people. It's the right thing to do. Christine Main says, Mr. Rogers would be proud of this neighbor. Next, we have Found Satan. It is entitled Meta Glasses Stuck. Suck. Hear me out. Hear her out. It's not very interesting picture. Meta sparks privacy fears after unveiling $299 smart glasses with hidden cameras. You can now film anyone without them knowing. You can already do that. And Millennium, the moms answered, I want a shirt that has a QR code for some kind of horrible malware so that if anyone tries to film me in public with their phone, will automatically scan the code and be reduced to a functionless brick. That's not nice. Somebody adds a first time upgrade comment and I don't know what their username is supposed to be. There's a law in Japan about shutter noise of cameras so creepy guys can't take pictures of girls discreetly. It's like a huge step backward for that law. Spiritual Boy says, why I agree these glasses should be canceled immediately. I feel like taking an upskirt photo with them isn't going to be exactly subtle. Second comment is deleted. Third top comment is, I think chaotic good I think that's chaotic good Satan. It doesn't bother me if people are filming in public. People do it all the time anyway. What are they gonna do? What do you think's gonna happen? Nothing. Usually nothing. Next, we have Just No Mill, and it's titled Mill Nuked Her Socials After We Found Her Strange Parent Group Posts. We have been in no contact with mother-in-law for a while. We don't talk about her publicly, we don't badmouth her to family, don't engage. What we do is quietly check her socials every so often because she has a history of posting photos of our kids, talking about her family online. How does she get photos of your kids if you're no contact? When we find something, report it to Facebook and move on, no confrontation. So when my husband was working on rebuilding things with his dad, father-in-law casually mentioned she'd joined in a strange parent group. We both cringed. They burned her and joined just if you just to check. Same reason as always. She was posting photos of us and our kids. That part we expected. What we didn't expect was the rest of it. Completely fabricated stories about me and her own son. Genuinely evil stuff. And then she shared details about abuse my husband survived, deeply personal stuff he has told his closest friends with strangers on the internet. He hasn't told his closest friends. And she's shared details about the abuse my husband survived, deeply personal stuff he hasn't told his closest friends with strangers on the internet for sympathy, and they ate it up. We didn't engage, screenshotted everything, documented it, and reported the photos of our two kids. Fast forward to a phone call with father-in-law that was actually going well. As they were wrapping up, father-in-law asked my husband if he wanted to say hi to mother-in-law. Hard no. Phil pushed a bit because it was pretty abrupt no, so my husband told him why. You could hear the background as Phil was processing out loud, flustered, and then suddenly Mel was taking the dogs for a walk at midnight. Time difference. It was 9 p.m. for us. Phil apologized and said he'd look into it. By the end of the weekend, our Facebook group was gone. Over a decade of weaponized posting just nuked. She almost certainly had got to it before father-in-law could go looking. I'm relieved that outlet is gone, honestly, but she clearly needs an audience, so I'm not naive enough to think this was over. Just wait and see where she pops up next and what Phil actually does with what he now knows. That midnight dog walk is going to live in my head rent-free forever. Local Cougar says, imagine choosing to avoid accountability and fabricating stories of a relationship with your own son. I will never understand. Adorable Machine says, watch out for her on Reddit. LP says, I don't think she's internet savvy enough for Reddit. If she's internet savvy enough for Facebook, she's internet savvy enough for Reddit. Sick Viking says she doesn't really need it. My mom's on Reddit, browses and posts daily, mostly on cat subs. She doesn't really interact with the internet outside of Facebook and a pet site. Reddit is honestly pretty simple if all you're doing is reading and posting sob stories. Exactly. Reddit's actually easier than Facebook, if you ask me. Retail hell. When no one is a hurry. Well, I mean, just a little tiny one. We close in 15 minutes if the store is still full. So start getting them people out. Start getting them people out. You know you're going to be there later. Chuck Miller says it hits harder at the end of the weekend. It's your day off tomorrow, and you've had your fill of stupid, and you just want to go home and not talk to anyone. Can relate to that for sure. Okay, Spell says no. Well, I no longer work close to one of the things I appreciated was it closed exactly at midnight. Register off, no more transactions, get out. We tell people half an hour we will be closing and they will not leave the shop. Yet a few cranky people don't listen and or don't believe them when we told them, but not many. Ramona Lola says, worked in retail, don't miss those days. Two little old ladies did this every Friday or Saturday intentionally. They said we don't like crowds, so we just come in before close and slowly shop for their groceries. I wouldn't let them in. You don't have to deal with those people. Just don't let them in. Next up, Petty Revenge and is entitled My Wife's Friend Insulted Her, and I've been slowly returning the favor. So my wife's friend got married a couple of years back. She made this 3-day long event with multiple meals, 2 ceremonies, and everything with different dress codes. Day one was some dinner that started at 9 p.m. and took 3 hours, where she then forced everyone to go dancing afterwards. We joined for the meal, but it being on a weekday, we told her we couldn't go dancing. The next day at her brunch, she tells us how much fun they had dancing and how even old people and children went. I brushed it off and smiled. I mean, that's just normal, dissing people. Then 2 different ceremonies happened that day, and then the final event will end with another brunch on the third day. By this point, we are exhausted because we are not party people, but wanted to be nice and participate. So the morning before the brunch, we get up early and go to our fourth outfit of her event. My wife does her hair and makeup again for the fourth time. And we get to this, you don't have to go. Just saying. You didn't have to go to any of it. And we get to this brunch, and her friend says, "Oh, babe, wow, you look so comfy," with this judgmental tone in her voice, as if to say my wife isn't trying hard enough, which was BS. My wife tries her best to brush the event off, and says it's just the stress from the wedding that made her terrible towards us the entire time. But I've decided that her friend is just an a-hole. It will slowly repay her for the years. Since the various gatherings, I've given her the following compliments. I love how you don't care about vanity, just go with that natural look, and who cares what people think. You look super comfy, I said in variations so several times. I wish I could have your attitude arriving whenever, but I always have to show up on time for things and so on. The greatest part is you can see the gears turning as trying to figure out if I'm being complimentary or not. I will continue this until the person is no longer in our lives or one of us dies. And holy cow, this blew up. You gave me some incredible ammunition. I will spend the next hour converting them to a note on my phone. I can't wait to see her next. I will report back in a few days. Why is it an hour? Just copy and paste, dude. Super easy. Get on the computer and copy and paste. You can even do that on your phone, really. Not Penny's Boat says, absolutely hero. Here are some other compliments to consider in the future. Not everyone can pull off that kind of look, but you certainly tried. Your haircut really slims your face. Your house feels so lived in. You're so charming when you make an effort. I wish I was as comfortable as you are wearing that outfit. I love how you just don't care what anyone thinks of you. How fun. I envy your courage. Not today, but you certainly tried, but you certainly tried is gold. It is. Second top rated comment is from Oh Wait. And they say I'm never tired of seeing that outfit. Third top rated comment is from Alien Markey. And they say, my mom was good at these kind of insults. My favorite ones are, that's a lovely dress. Was it cheap? Your hair looks great. Did you style it yourself? I don't like to use the word cheap all the time. Sometimes I like to use the word inexpensive because cheap means that it's badly made, but inexpensive means that you got a deal. Next is from Am I the Jerk? And is entitled AITJ for refusing to pay for my friend again, even though she ended up with nothing to eat. 21 female. I'm in a group of four girls. We're all college students and work together, so we're pretty close. One of my friends, 22 female, Olivia, is almost always short on money when we go out. So it starts small, so didn't mind covering her. But it's become a pattern where one of us is always paying. At one point, I covered her full meal, and she ordered around $60 worth of food, and she said she'd pay me back, but never did. Recently, we planned a beach trip to make sure everyone could afford it. Olivia said she could, but when we went out to eat, she again said she had no money. We were all annoyed. One friend asked why she came if she couldn't afford anything. Olivia started crying and said she wanted to be included and wouldn't order. None of us offered to pay this time. We ordered and ate in front of her and even changed the subject to random things like dating and work. She sat there crying and it got awkward, but we were honestly tired of it happening over and over again. I do feel bad, but I also think this is don't think it's my responsibility anymore. Now she thinks we're bad friends and thinks we're tense. No, she's the bad friend, and you just called her out on it. NTJ. Tadbit says she's not your friend. She uses people. OP says we definitely notice this. Okay lady answers, next time you go out, ask her if she has enough money to cover herself. Otherwise, she doesn't come because you're all not paying for her. Let her know this before you go anywhere with her. Jeff Boyardee says, or just don't invite her. I mean, she's going through something, unless she's going through something. This seems like a pattern, though. If I can't afford to do something to my friends, I'm more than happy to sit out. Let them have fun. Seems like a maturity thing, too. Blue Falls answers, or if it was something I like beach today and I didn't have the funds to also eat out while there, I would just bring my own snacks and food so I can enjoy the day while also taking care of my own needs. Sweet Tina's answers, when I'm short on funds, I go for free events we can go to and do a picnic lunch. Why are you going out at the beach anyway? The beach I'm familiar with has a pizza place. It's really good. Second top rated comment is from Electric Sky, and she says, nah, she knew perfectly well what she was doing. Yeah, she sat there and cried because she embarrassed herself. Gertrude the Curious answers, yeah, indeed, I bet she has money to pay for herself when everyone refused to cover her. She couldn't just go, oh, well, I guess I'll get my wallet now, because then everyone would know. Exactly. Silver Adagio as the third top rated comment, and they say, crying was unnecessary but manipulative. Sweetie said, what you did was impulsive, capricious, and melodramatic, but it was also wrong. Mara Rose on Schitt's Creek. And somebody puts R.I.P. Catherine. Yeah, she passed away, unfortunately. Really sad. I liked her. Signs of the story, entitled, I Bet Those Whippets Were Good. Of course, it's a sign I gotta share. To the person doing whippets in the walk-in, I will find you and I will fire you. I am now going to have to spend money on a camera for the walk-in instead of using money for raises. If I were your teammates, I would be very angry with you. I hope the 20-second head buzz was worth it. Signed, Miranda. You go, Miranda. I will find you and I will fire you. I like that. I don't know if this has been here or not. Edit. It will not let me edit the title on the blurb. It's autocorrect. I didn't notice until after the point. That's because the whippets in the title were like the dog. Mega Misanthropic is the top rated comment, and they say that $300 camera wouldn't have paid for many raises. They're probably correct. Digital Blue says 0% chance they were considering raises before this incident. OP says true. Euromantique says narrator, she was not in fact using that money for raises. Ariel was Harry. Plot twist, Miranda is the only one taking the whippets. Next we have Expectation versus Reality. It is entitled The Lamb I Envisioned versus What I Created. Says this was supposed to be a mold. This was a mold. She didn't have the mold, so I don't know what she was thinking. That's a cute little lamb. Cute little lammy guy. Not perfect, but cute. This is what she did. That's a dog. That's a dog. That's not a lamb, that's a dog. It's a furry dog. It's a very furry dog, not a lamb. Sorry, OP. That's a dog. Everyone's doing just. It's just memes. I can't. This one looks awfully familiar. This is real estate. Can't stop looking at the pictures because it's picture perfect. Just a gorgeous house, but one has to be carefully walking around. There are many steps and sunken areas. Occupied by plants and some sticking sharp objects. Kitchen is a little more awkward too, but the master bath is a dream. The ceiling picture 10 is questionable as that mold. Another picture possibly humidity area. Maybe no one lived here for a while. The house wasn't aired. This is Canton, Connecticut. I don't remember a Canton, Connecticut one. It looks very familiar to something else we've seen, though. It's $900,000, by the way. It's a blue house. See the blue house? 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 5,000 square feet, 5,700 square feet. It's huge. It's huge. I don't like it when they have the floor plans over here like that. Cuts down from our view of the house, of the house. Oh, that's really nice. I like the green tile. That's really cool looking. Did not expect that from the outside at all. Where did these go? Where did these stairs go? What's back there? What's back there? We are going to check out the floor plan, by the way. It's actually beautiful. I'm not into like the paneling thing, but that is gorgeous. I would live there. Lovely fireplace. It's beautiful. I love it. I don't think that's mold. Did they say dining room? I don't think that's mold. They did say picture 10. I think that's just the way the ceiling is in that room. You can see it better there. That is just shadow. Nothing like plants living in your house. I looked at a house like that once. Nice. Wow. That is cool. Nice office space. Back to the main area. I don't really see any mold, do you? Wow, that is cool. That is a neat light over the shower. I need that. My husband's always complaining that I have the lights on when I take a shower. It's dark in there. It's like in a corner. There's no windows over that area. I have to have the light on. Plus, it helps him wake up in the morning. He sleeps. He'll take a shower in the dark. I don't get it. I don't like the orange sink. Otherwise, everything in here is fine. It's quite cool. Beautiful. Yeah. No neighbors. Love that. It's not helping. Oh, there we go. Okay. We have the garage. Goes into the bathroom, laundry room, or bedroom, laundry room. Bedroom's right next to the garage. I guess I do have one of those. That's bathroom. That was right. There's a bathroom, laundry room. Why do we have a full bath and a half bath right there? I would take this one out. I would take that one out and make it something else. Nice pantry, walk-in, kitchen, breakfast nook, dining room. Okay, that's kind of cool. Ah, I lost it. Okay, I guess that's all we're doing. I'm not going back. Okay, it's built 1979. It's on 10 acres. Nice. Custom bit, architecturally distinctive, and post and beam contemporary on 10 private acres. It has a massive sculptural front door. I didn't think the front door was all that, personally. Multi-level decks and a Goshen stoned patio. It is beautiful. 3 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3 full baths, and 1 half bath. There's bookcase, a Jack and Jill bath. Has a den, dining room, great room, kitchen. Meaning is forced air, oil, and wood. No, thank you. I would get that switched, especially with the price of oil. Are you kidding me? Has a library and a living room and sunroom. It does have central air. Appliances include electric cooktop, oven, microwave, refrigerator, dishwasher, washer, dryer, and heat water heater. Laundry's on the main floor. Has a sound system, which is very nice. I have that in my house, and I can't figure out how to work it. I can't figure out how it works. It's terrible. Wired for sound, but they can't have any. Last time it sold was in 1997. This went up for sale on April 14th. Tax assessment or taxes are $16,000. That's a lot. That's a lot. Well, it's not 16. This says the tax are 1,600. I don't know where they got 16,000. 16,000 on $489,000 does not compute. It's 1,600. They got their, I believe they have their digits in the wrong places. MTJ is a top-rated comment. It says, "Dear Diary, it is day number 27 since I slipped off the dining platform onto the jungle below. My cries for help echo off the ceilings of my Connecticut contemporary, but no one responds. I continue to search for a way out, but my hope is giving way to despair. If anyone finds this, please tell my family I love them." LaRusso answers, "Hosting a dinner party with my mid-30s friends. Here's everyone's heart. Life alert necklace. Please keep it on your person at all times." Nemo Sailing answers, "Henry went to the bathroom 3 hours ago. We haven't found him since." T Me answers, "He's been trying to rinse his face with the bulky lucite towel rack we placed in front of the sink. At hip height hasn't snared him. Hasn't snared him. Crump's style says, gonna add this to my ever growing pile of things I love and can never have. Lonely at Life says, I really like the light wood green tile combo. I do too. Fresh Frio Bell says same. I've never liked light wood before the style of home, but somehow this is all beautifully balanced and designed. It's modernistic but actually welcoming and even restful. I'm truly impressed. I am too. It was great. I'm not big on that light wood look either. That was lovely. Server next we have server life as people notice. Says, I just wanted watch that man speak to you that way, and I'm so sorry. You were a much bigger person to someone who did not deserve it. Heart people notice. Glad somebody noticed. Got the sweet note from a nearby table after an angry old man yelled at me for nothing. I would like to know more about that. Bottomless Flies is top. Brady comment says, I wish people would speak up when they notice. I had a table stick up for me when another server bit at me because she was overloaded and hadn't even greeted them for 20 minutes. So I just took the table and told the server she could have one of mine instead when she was caught up. But yeah, they suck for me big time. Silly Shroom says, seeing servers treated like crap makes me absolute menace. The last time it happened, we were down in Louisiana, some sort of chain craw boil place. We were already seated, perfectly happy, and this 50-something couple comes in, and they start dictating all these things to the server before they even sit down. I don't remember if they said they couldn't stand the smell of the fish or if they were allergic to fish. Either way, they said something that made me go, why the hell are you in a fish-themed restaurant? How are you going to be if that's how you're going to be? So I just started talking loudly to my partner about how rude these people over there are being and unreasonable, and how I hope the hostess wasn't taking it too personally. I did it until the couple left because they had demanded the manager before they were even seated. Wow. Bottomless Fly says, the other day I said something kind of loudly in our bar section, and these two ladies were, excuse me, we're trying to have a conversation. One of the bar patrons turned around and said, if you wanted to have a quiet conversation, perhaps you should have sat in the dining room side of the bar. It was great. Love it. Love when people stand up for others. Once an angry waiter says, come down where you work and slap the dicks out of your mouth. After 2 decades in this industry, I have zero chill. Next we have Confession is entitled Took a Homeless Girl and It Became a Life Lesson. Honestly, I was ready for all kinds of hate, but the Reddit is full of a-holes. It actually is redacted. People call me a rapist just for having a bad thought. You guys are the biggest paths of crap, acting all purist. I always knew I was wrong from the start. I did try to be a better person, never gave me. I don't know what happened there. Tato says, aside from your intentions initially, did you really only need to house her for 2 weeks? It's wild that 2 weeks of stability and a professional connection was all she needed to become housed again. Our society is so merciless that even this can even happen at all. But it's amazing that she turned things around so rapidly. Sort of proves that a little bit of support will completely fix the homeless issue. She told me she didn't have many friends and would start poor with high expectations, so she couldn't disappoint them. She got a job straight out of university, but the company turned out to be a scam. That doesn't make any sense. Sorry, that one was a dud. Interesting AF. Tigers are solitary creatures that value personal space, while lions are social and clingy, often encroaching into the tiger's very space. It's actually cute. Oops. that wrong. Guess I gotta share it on. Share to kitty cats. They're giant kitty cats. Just wants to be alone. The cuddly lion. I love you. I love you so much. Leave me alone. Probably addicting for the music. That's okay. Facebook or YouTube will take it out for me. All right. I was just sleeping, dude. Can you leave me alone? Oh, angry face. Why are you so angry? I gotta show you this one. It's hysterical. This is a tiger mood. That's a top rated comment right there. Just saying. It's hysterical. Why is it not? Oh, that's why. Tiger broke the first wall. I was right, and I was so right about its expressions. Answer to that one. Terrible ad says, I like how the tiger always stares dead in the camera. You see this crap, bro? So many Thunder Mifflin. I can't remember the name of the stupid show. I love that show. The Office. I love that. All the Office. It was all Office memes. All about Jim. All mostly about Jim. There was one Dwight in there. Next we have Emma the A-hole, AITA, for telling my wife my mother is correct and she needed to be a parent today and she winged it up. I'm waiting at the airport. I need to know if I winged up or not. This week, my daughter, she's in middle school, lost a classmate. Oh, that's heartbreaking. My daughter has not taken it well overall. This is the first experience of someone she knows dying. The whole class was excused from school today, and the funeral is happening right now. Unfortunately, I could not be there, but I tried to take my PTO, was denied, and we can't lose this job. I flew out Wednesday night. I'm coming back now. Our daughter is a mess. She was friends with the girl that passed away. The plan was for my wife, she's unemployed at the moment, to take her to the funeral and just be there. My wife is more spiritual than the average person and hates all things with the dead. That's weird. That's weird. Funerals, viewings, and so on. This is only a mass funeral, no viewing. She believes in ghosts and will avoid funerals like the plague. Your wife needs counseling. That's stupid. Your wife needs to see a professional because she ain't right in the head. We discussed this on Monday. She said she would take our kid and then go to the graveside. I got a call from my daughter sobbing that she wasn't going to the funeral. So find someone else to take her to the funeral. There are other parents, I'm sure, going. My wife was refusing to take her. When I got her to answer my call, she told me she can't do it and is scared to go. Your wife is weird. Your wife is wrong and weird. So go drop her off. It's a funeral. Nothing's going to happen to her. I called my mom and asked her to pick up my daughter and take her to the funeral. My mom left with her, took her. They are there now. Thank goodness for mom. I got a call from my wife after with her crying because my mom tore her a new one. Good for mom. It just was my mom called her a bad parent, and that is so winged up that she couldn't take our kid to the funeral of a classmate. She wants me to make my mom apologize, and I told her my mom was right. That this was something our daughter needed, and she winged up. She wasn't acting like a parent because of her fear of the dead. She needs help. She's that scared of the dead. She needs help. What are the dead gonna do to you? Nothing, because they're not here anymore. And you don't go to funeral for the dead person, you go for the people who are alive. And your daughter needed to be there because she was the one of the people that are still alive. She needs closure. All she needed to do was stay through mass. We got into a huge phone call argument, and she's hung up on me calling me a huge dick. No, you're not. My mom is apparently getting texts also, and I told her not let our daughter know we are fighting, and if she looked after her for the day, she agreed. Good mom. Green flags for mom. Green flags for the mother-in-law in this situation. She did the right thing. It's stupid. Hot Cookie says, NTA, your wife let her own feelings get in the way of her daughter's. As a parent, she needs to get used to doing things that might make her uncomfortable for the sake of your daughter's child's mental health and well-being. Your wife let her daughter down today, and your daughter isn't going to forget. Her mother wasn't there for her. Yeah, they both need to go to therapy. Your daughter, because she's losing a friend at her age, is absolutely traumatizing. And your wife, because her fear of death and ghosts lead her to traumatizing your daughter even more. I seek her answers. Yeah, the wife messed up. If it weren't for OP calling his mom to take his daughter, she would have missed a friend's funeral. That would have been worse. No closure, no support. It would have been traumatized the kids if you also added her mother letting her down. Wife could have just called OP's mom herself. Exactly. If, God forbid, one of my daughter in laws was too scared to go somewhere and the kid needed to go, they should be calling me and not my husband that can't be there, not their husband that can't be there. She really needs to talk to her daughter and apologize. For the kid to see her mom back out like that might cause some repercussions, starting to not trust her own mom for starters. Yes. She's causing more problems than she's creating more problems than than she can deal with right now. Rhiannon says his mom was even willing to leave work last minute to take her daughter to the funeral. It really says something about how much she cares for her granddaughter. Yes, exactly. Thankfully, I'm not working and I can step in whenever needed. Somebody must have said something about her not working that's deleted. Their top rated comment is Mermsis. Mermsis. Holy smokes, NTA, but you got a serious mess on your hands when you get home. If I were you, I'd focus on my daughter's broken heart for a while. Don't try to resolve the anger or mess with your wife's fear of the dead. When you get home, take the daughter out for a walk, cry and hug, and talk to her about what you can do together to remember her friend. Maybe with a story of a fun time together that she can give to the mom of her friend. Let the weird wife situation just lay dormant for a while. Don't apologize, but also don't be a dick about it. I'd be a dick about it. Sorry, that's ridiculous. When your daughter has been properly attended to, ask for a conversation with your wife. Tell her that you think she let her fears take over and she knew that she couldn't take her daughter to the funeral of her friend. Then she needed to be the one to arrange alternate transportation. The full drop off and ignoring her child was a bad parenting call. Shushin Cassiopeia says, I'm the parent who lost her kid. I would have noticed if my kid's closest friends weren't at the funeral last year. Take care of your child. Your wife failed her and her friend. Labaka says, among those lines, I'm still angry. It's been a few decades now. When when I was an elementary school classmate died, and the district sent out a letter to the parents suggesting that because of this, the family's culture might be upsetting. My mom ignored that letter entirely and took me, but his family had set like 3 rows aside for the from school to be there. And I think a lot more parents listened to that letter than ignored it because it was moderately empty rows. Never knew what extent they were aware of all that, but I do think they would have noticed the turnout there. So it was a Iranian funeral in the US. Why would that have any bearing on the funeral? You still go there for your friends. Support the parents who lost their child. To support your other friends who lost their friend. And they support you because you also lost your friend. Next we have I don't work here, lady, and is entitled, yes, I'm sure not running a dog grooming salon out of my house. I was chilling the other noon, catching up on some life admin, and finally getting around to sending some of the multiple emails in my drafts. I heard a dog barking, followed by someone knocking on my door. One of my neighbors has a dog, and they often pop in to say hi and check in, so I figured that's who it was. I go to the door, and it's a lady I don't recognize at all with a dog. I'm going to assume her grandson, with a man sitting in a red car parked partially on the footpath. Now, the moment I saw them, I knew that they most likely had gotten the wrong address wrong because there was a dog grooming business at number 51, and I live at number 15, and this is a mistake that has often happened before. This is how the conversation played out. Me, can I help you? Lady, yes, we're here to drop off the dog for his grooming appointment. Me, I'm sorry, you must have me confused with number 51. That's the dog groomers. Has this happened before? The house is at the opposite end of the street. Lady, are you sure? Me, yes, you want number 51, not number 15. Lady, but my daughter told me it was 15. Me, I'm positive I'm not the dog groomer. In fact, I have 2 cats. You want number 51. Lady, oh, if you're sure it's 51, we must be at the wrong address. Sorry for bothering you. I then heard her tell the man in the car that the groomers were at 51, not 15, so her daughter must have given them the wrong address. I just found it strange that she asked me multiple times if I was sure I wasn't a dog groomer, despite there being no signage or any indication of me being a dog groomer. In fact, one of my cats was glaring at the dog from a safe distance, annoyed that its barking had interrupted her beauty sleep. I should also note that I rent from my parents who have owned the house for 18 years, so it wasn't like there had been a previous dog groomer operating out of the house recently. Things happen. Sorry, Climate says some people have a fairly lengthy delay between their mouth and ears to the conscious part of their brain. Guilty as charged. Sometimes I just can't process. Insomniatic Goblin says, can sadly attest this has been me on occasions where I'm in an area I've never been in before, or sleep deprived, really, really tired, sick, or really sick AF. Queen Cheetah says, I injured my back the other day, fell out of the shower. I'm sorry, Cheetah. It sounds terrible. Also really funny. I couldn't sleep much last night, so I ended up calling my mom babe this morning. Oh, I'm sure your mother appreciated how much you love her. Liffy Dodge says, my phone number was close to a specialty ham store. We would get calls fairly often, place orders. Some people would argue with me. I've told you before about the Social Security office. Earth Lacey, I love that name, says, my childhood phone number was identical to that of the local mortuary, with the last 2 numbers flipped. It took us a while to figure out the name of the place. It was the surname of the people who lived there before us. Oh my. Opie says, you could have answered phone, hello, name of mortuary, stab him, we slab. Out of face says, you kill him, we grill him. Viral says, it's ham, you poke him, we smoke him. Variation different says, you kill him, we chill him. Those are all legitimate. Next is Overheard, is entitled Bald Daddy. And I named this episode Bald Daddy because I thought it was appropriate given that the reality roundup was bailing out loud. I was standing in the queue at the gas station when a man in front of me answered a video call from a woman. I didn't see what the man was seeing, but I could hear a baby crying over the following conversation. Woman, I can't get him to stop crying. Please do the thing. Man, baby, I'm in the gas station. Give me 5 minutes. Woman, Richard, I don't have 5 minutes. I have now. Do the thing, please. The man sighed, removed his cap. Man, look, Mikey, Dad's bald. Crying stopped almost instantly. Woman again. The man put his cap back on before removing it even more dramatically this time. Mikey, look, Dad's bald. I heard the baby laughing hysterically for the remainder of the phone call. Woman, that should do the job until you get home. I appreciate it. Thanks, I love you. Man, I love you too. Bye, Mikey. Woman, say bye-bye, bald daddy. That's awesome. I love it. You're bald, as Balin would say. It's too cute. I can't even do that. It's too cute. Just gotta end on there. Next, we have Cheer Off My Chest, and is entitled, My teaching assistant pulled me aside after my fluids midterm today, and I don't have anyone to tell. I'm 32 and went back to school for me 2.5 years ago after a decade as maintenance tech at a paper plant. My wife is supportive, but she doesn't really understand the work. Our parents think I'm going through some midlife thing. We have 2 kids who are 6 and 4. I took my fluids exam this afternoon, brutal exam. My TA is a 23-year-old grad student named Andrew. I think he's been a little uncomfortable having an older student in his section all semester. My daughter's going to be a TA next year. I can't wait for the stories. Andrew asked if I had a minute, and after I turned in the exam, he pulled out my problem sets that he'd been grading on his laptop and started flipping through. He said they had to verify if they hadn't been through one of those AI chat tools first, since the department makes them check now. He said he could tell by the way I draw control volumes that I've actually seen industrial systems run. He said he's been TAing fluids for 3 semesters, and my work shows years of practical experience he doesn't see in undergrad usually. I worked at that paper plant for over a decade before going back to school. The way you draw a control volume tells whether someone has seen one running. I just didn't think anyone would ever notice. I drove home thinking I was going to tell my wife. When I walked in, she was making dinner with the kids, and I just couldn't. She'd say, "Oh, that's sweet, honey, and not really get it. There's nobody in my life that would get it. I don't know what to do with this thing for reading." Capital Instruction says, "Great work. I'm glad someone noticed." Ms. Daisy said, "That's really awesome. It's a good feeling when experience gets appreciated with the knowledge that you have valued that way. Congratulations." And Evil Zippo says, "Actual moment when you can say my calculations were correct." Next, I went from What Do I Do? My girlfriend went to her male study group friend's house, and didn't test like 6 hours apart to say I love you so much at 2 a.m. What did she mean by that? Male study group friend's house. Okay, she's at a study group for 6 hours. They had studying to do. February comment doesn't make any sense to me. Breast cannon says, sounds like a fake story, but you do you. I say, I think it's fake. It's silly. That's okay because we have no consequences with that's going to take us a long time. This is going to be a long one, guys. I can just tell. It has 9 updates. It has more than 10 updates. But the 10th one wasn't that consequency. Okay. This is originally from, I don't know where. Originally from AITAH. It was removed for some reason. Happened today, July 22nd, 2023. Was the original. Hi, folks. I decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my 2 sisters and their husbands. My folks decided to. I'm going to start over. Originally posted in AITA, July 22nd, 2023. Happened today. My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my 2 sisters, their husbands, or their kids. Wife and I are child free. Mom pressured me, long story short, we went. By the time we were there, about 20 people were there. My sisters, their husbands, already solidly buzzed, drunk really. My mom was spending 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews ages 7 to 11 more or less under control. My dad strategically retreated to the whirlpool. By the way, my nose has been running like a sieve. I'm going to start this over again. My nose has been running like a sieve, so I'm on decongestants right now, which are helping because I mean, it was really running like a sieve. And this part of my nose feels like it has pressure in it that's pressuring on the part of your nose that makes you sneeze. So I feel like I have to sneeze all the time, even though I don't. And every once in a while, I actually have to sneeze. I don't know if it's allergies, but the BW, the baby, was running like a sieve this weekend, and I think he may have actually had something. I feel fine other than the nose running. I would call it allergies, except for he was like that this weekend, and he has allergies too. So I thought he had allergies. I'm hoping it's not the diatomaceous earth that I have all over the house right now. All right, starting over again. This is from Oh No Consequences. Uh, Originally in AITA on July 22nd, 2023. Happened today. My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my two sisters, their husbands, or their kids. Wife and I are child free. Mom pressured the wife. Long story short, we went. By the time we arrived, there were about 20 people there. My sisters and their husbands were already solidly buzzed. Drunk, really. My mom spent 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews ages 7 to 11 more or less under control. My dad had strategically retreated to the whirlpool part of the pool with a small cooler of beers. Wife and I made small talk with miscellaneous people, ate food, and had frozen margaritas. Sister/brother-in-laws took turns criticizing us for being late, being in our swimsuits, screwing up the vibe, whatever. Not being in our swimsuits, screwing up the vibe, whatever. Typical suburban summer get together. Who cares what other people wear? Who cares so much what other people wear that you have to insult them? It's silly. And how are you having a barbecue with nobody cooking? Dad's in the pool. The in the kid, the parents and slash kids are drunk, and the little kids are giving grandma fits. About 45 minutes in, two of the kids ran at one of the neighbor guests, who were standing next to the pool and pushed her in. She was at the pool steps, stumbled in, but didn't fall far, only got half wet. She was clearly very unhappy about it. I would be too, but she didn't make a scene. I would have made a scene. I would have told that kid off. I just went over to where the parents were, grabbed their towels, dried herself off, and left. Sisters and brother-in-laws thought it was great fun. A bit later, I was standing a few feet from the pool chatting with someone, and I think we've read this before. There's lots of updates that I don't think we saw. I saw 30 of the kids running full tilt at me from the corner of my eye. Obviously, I was next. Not that it's terribly difficult to outwit kids, but I just jumped out of their way at the last second. All three of them were in straight into the pool full speed. I still love it. Most of the other guests, including my wife and me, started laughing, but their moms, who I mentioned were pretty crap-faced, actually freaked out. Apparently, two of the kids couldn't swim even though they were in swimsuits. Since I wasn't in swim gear, I stepped back from the pool and let other people fish the kids out. The kids are bawling their heads off like they'd lost a limb. At that point, all hell broke loose. Four drunk parents yelling at everyone in general, and me in particular, for letting their kids nearly drown. Ma'am, your kids are around a pool. You should be watching them, making sure they're not running because that's for boating around pools. And they shouldn't be pushing people in. They didn't get disciplined the last time they put someone in, obviously, because they're still pushing people in the pool. Talk about rude. And it's not my fault. I stepped out of the way. They were running into the pool. They could have stopped. And why is there not safety gear on these kids that can't swim around a pool? Two of the kids had been videotaping the trick using their parents' iPhones, which are now at the bottom of the pool. Just desserts. One of my brother-in-laws got into the pool, tried to retrieve the phones, but his BNI and BAC made that impossible. Can't relate. No one else volunteered to help. Unsurprisingly, my sisters were still bitching at everyone. I told my sisters it was their job to watch their kids, and if anything happened to them, it would be their responsibility, not mine. There were some pretty strong words on both sides. Wife and I left after the other brother-in-law fell over and face planted while yelling at us. They were very drunk, and who drove them home? I hope they didn't drive themselves home, because that would be illegal. Now they're saying I should have left the little craps lock me in the pool. No. And have their fun. No. And ruin my phone. So AITA. Side note, Dad, of course, never got out of the whirlpool. Relevant comments. More about why OOP doesn't care for some of the family. It's not obvious from the post. More of an oil and water sort of thing. I've never been close to my sisters. They were 8 and 10 years older than me. And also, I don't have much in common with their husbands. They're okay guys, but I just don't give a crap about the things that are important to them and vice versa. I know that the four of them are somewhat envious of our lifestyle. Both sisters are stay-at-home moms. Both husbands make good money. One makes noticeably more than I do. Both my wife and I have professional careers. We don't have kids, and we're way more responsible with money. As a result, we have a lot more investments, etc. We don't have to drive cars full of kid debris, and we take nice trips once or twice a year. It definitely grates on both my sisters and by extension their husbands, so we got some petty behavior from them on an ongoing basis. Overall, neither my wife or I enjoy their company, which is why I wanted to skip the get together. I just not worth it to me, but my wife, as a positive person, is usually happy to see them. Someone asked the kids okay. The kids are fine, but by the time I left, they were watching TV inside. They're 7, 9, 10, 10, and 11. This was in the middle of 3 who played kamikaze with me. I guess the 11-year-old egged them on. She's usually the ringleader. That tracks. Update number 1. August 7th, 2023, almost a month later. First of all, my folks tell me sorry. First off, my folks tell me that my nieces and nephews are all good swimmers and they use the pool all the time. The 7-year-old's still a beginner, but he loves the water. 7-year-old should be swimming already. Sorry, not sorry. The 7-year-old should be swimming as well already. My kids were swimming way before 7 years old. And we didn't even have a pool. My sister said they couldn't swim, so I'd look bad. To be fair, none of the kids is allowed in the deep end, which is where they fell in. It was 2 10-year-olds and the 9-year-old who tried to push me into the pool. After we left, the party ended on a pretty sour note. My drunk brother-in-law, who face planted while yelling at me, had to go to urgent care to get his face stitched up. Is it mean for me to laugh at that? Because I think that's hilarious. He was too toasted to drive, so Dad took him. Dad was very not happy about this. Dad was probably too toasted to drive. Didn't he have like an entire container of beers by the hot tub? And I thought they left first. Late that evening, my sister started a group text and said some nasty crap. Their husbands threw a few comments as well. The wife and I blocked the 4 of them. My mom called me. She was pretty upset about what they said. She and Dad were in the chat, and I don't blame her. Some of the text my folks insisted my sisters and brother-in-law come over the next day, Sunday, without their kids to get some things straight and lay down some ground rules, Mom's wording. The result was a contrite, unenthusiastic apology from the siblings via my mom's phone. I'm glad my wife was with me when they called. Her hard stares kept me from saying what I wanted to. I just told them thanks and that we don't feel no need to discuss it further. Since I thought things were settled, I unblocked them. That evening, I got a text from one of the brother-in-laws telling me the phones cost so much money and asking him to pay, asking when I'd pay for them. Never paying for your phone that your children are responsible for. Control your children. I replied never. I took a screenshot of his text and forwarded it to my parents. The note that we are done with this nonsense. We're going no contact with sisters and spouses and not to invite us to any more holidays or get-togethers. If they'll be present, then I blocked the sisters and their spouses again. At that point, the crap really hit the fan. Dad called them and ripped them a new one. Among other things, he told them the grandkids were not welcome at his place indefinitely. Since my mom regularly provides free babysitting, that got them pretty rattled. He also banned them from using the vacation house and told them my wife and I actually own it, not he and my mom. This completely freaked them out. Both of my sisters slash families use the place a lot, including having their friends up for the weekend getaways. This was very much out of character for my folks. They clearly had it. And for reference, I never wanted my sisters to know we owned the place. I bought it for my folks. They'd always wanted a place in the mountains. Keeping the ownership quiet was just a way to avoid the drama with my siblings. A couple of days later, my siblings and their husbands come to our place unannounced to apologize in person. We were out to dinner and they left a note. One sister also called me at work too. I sent her to voicemail. We've decided being no contact is the best for indefinite future. Haven't interacted with them for the last 3+ weeks. Personally, I'm done. They can go pound sand. I have a feeling that a lawsuit is about to happen. Relevant comments. How has life been? It's been less than a month, but I'd say blocking them has actually made our lives noticeably more peaceful. I didn't realize how much ongoing low-level drama they create. It's not toxic. They're not bad people. They just tiresome and petty. That is toxic. I'm sorry. I personally don't care about them using the weekend place. It's ours technically. We bought it for my kids, but we bought it for my folks. They control it and decide who uses it. When they aren't, we pay for all the operating costs and taxes. One good thing about this blow up is that we now know what we will be doing with the property when my folks get older. I was prepared to take over managing it, allocating weekends, maintaining it and such, but now I know we'll just sell it, and if we go to the mountains, we'll just rent an Airbnb. OOP's parents. Yeah, my folks aren't dumb. They're pretty laid back, though. Very much live and let live. I figured they'll ease up on that all of this soon. That's their decision. We still won't be attending any family events for the foreseeable future. What sucks for my sisters is that they're probably worried I'll keep them from using the cabin. I won't. That's up to mom and dad until they're older. And it puts an end to me being one of the sisters' fantasy of building a compound of houses when we inherit the property, which I've known about for some time and just ignored. Normally, the lots up there only have 1 acre that can be built on, but this piece of property is way larger because it's at the end of the road, or at least 3 houses with great views could be placed on that land. One fun note on why OOP's post was removed from AITAH. According to the message I received from the other sub moderation, the violence was property damage, and I still don't get it. The phones are being ruined, I guess. Ridiculous. Yeah, I got a warning from Facebook for being violent today. All I said was somebody said something about mega acts, and I just made a little snippet about adding on to it, and I got banned. I got dinged for promoting violence. I was not promoting violence. I was just saying that other people do this violent thing. So Reddit can suck it as I sit here reading Reddit videos. Update 2, August 26, 2023, 9 days from the previous post. Update. Okay, I don't know why that's on there twice. Well, it's been an interesting last few days. I thought that crap had hit the fan before, but there was more of the fart compared to what's happened this week. For this to make sense, I need to provide some financial context. My folks have never been any good at saving money. I've been doing their taxes for years, so I know pretty much everything about them money-wise. Their house is paid for and they have minimal debt, but they didn't save much for retirement. Both of them get Social Security. Dad gets a solid pension. They have a bit of savings, but there's no treasure chest in the basement. I bought their current car for them after they retired as a retirement present so they could have something to drive. It was the first car in practically 20 years they didn't lease. My sisters are convinced the folks are dripping with money, and that our parents will be leaving the two of them everything since I don't need any more money. So they've never cared about saving either. Turns out my oldest sister and her husband, who have 3 kids, have been living beyond their means for some time and are in financial straits. They've maxed out all their credit cards and are behind on their car leases to the point that one is about to get repossessed. They bragged in the past about making X per year, but it turns out to be about half that. She confessed all this to Mom on Tuesday because they need a loan and because this was a WTF moment for Mom and Dad. Guess I should have treated little brother a little better. Maybe he'd be willing to help them out. That's not gonna happen now. For the last 3 years, instead of staying at the vacation house regularly, she's been renting it out about once a month and pocketing the cash. We're talking 2 grand for a weekend and at least 4,000 for a week. With her being cut off from the place, she's had to cancel one group already. She's now worried they'll lose everything. My parents aren't in any position to give them a loan. My other sister was aware of her renting out the place, but of course had never said anything. So she's renting out a place that she does not own. That's not sketch at all. I suspect she's done the same thing as well because I went up there to drop off an ATV I'd worked on, and there was a family there who claimed to be staying there with my sister slash her family and that they'd gone to town for something. At the time I let it go, I figured she'd loaned the house out to some friends, but I've always wondered. I found out about this through my folks who are pretty stressed out about it. Mom more than Dad. He's mainly just pissed off about all of it. I know Dad feels betrayed, and I imagine he's embarrassed that he's in no position to help his daughter out. He did reiterate as long as it's up to him, the girls won't be using the vacation house anytime soon. My folks let me know what's going on because they figured my sisters would put full court press on me next, and they were right. On Thursday, the sisters came to our place without husbands this time, waited outside the door until I got home. I had to choose between fighting with them in public and making a scene if I went in without them or letting them, so I let them in. I wouldn't have let them in. Have the conversation out on the street. Once they're in, they're in. It's harder to get them out. I got a BS story from the older sister with the young woman backing her up regarding that I needed that to let them use the mountain place again immediately. They also said I'd been a crappy brother and that I needed to step up on playing and plan on paying for their kids' college tuition since that's what family does. No, no, that's not what family does. You're responsible for your own family. Your brothers and sisters are not responsible for kids that you chose to have. If you couldn't afford the kids, you shouldn't have had them. I let them pitch their story and called them out based on what my folks had told me. Things went to crap from there. There was denial, crying, cursing, yelling, you name it. I swore my ears were ringing for 2 days later. I won't lie. I said some really mean and crappy things to them, but nothing that wasn't true. They finally left after about an hour. After that, I took a shower and laid down. When I got up, my wife was home, and her first words that she had to block more phone numbers because my sisters were blowing up her phones from new ones. Folks messaged me yesterday asking me to call. I'm sure my sisters have told them some BS version about what happened, but I'm not up to rehashing it yet. I'm usually a pretty energetic person, but this drama has beaten me down. I just I just have enough energy to drive out to the vacation pet place and padlock the entrance gate shut. I'm the only one with the key. I'm guessing that it will be enough to ensure my siblings leave the place alone. They'd probably die trying to walk 400 yards up the hill to get to the house. My driveway's about that long. It's not that long of a walk. I have an update. Update 3, September 12th, 2023, 2.5 weeks from the last update. Yet another update regarding the cluster that is my extended family. I thought it might be time, given what's going on for the last 2 weeks. I need another drink. This is a long one, guys. We're going to be here for forever, and I'm here for it. Are you? After my sisters came to my place and my dad told me they were done with managing the vacation home, sounded like the sisters had been pressuring them to let them use the place again. Basically, my folks handed the responsibility for the place over to me and told me it was my problem here on out. Until then, they'd kept track of who would be using it when, and they'd taken care of routine maintenance, placing worn out items, etc. In any case, they decided they didn't want to be in the middle of all this crap. Well, I don't blame them. I'm disappointed because the place was supposed to be something for them to enjoy and hang out there, and they use it regularly. Plus, I've never cared that they let my sisters and their families use it because I always thought it was my parents' call, even though I technically own it. But now my folks are going to be in the position of not having access without me being involved, and that changes the whole dynamic of the place. I've taken several steps to secure the place. I already mentioned that I locked the gate and it was heavy duty chain and the best lock I could find. I also did a full reset on all the door keypads and creating new codes. Security cameras got installed yesterday, which is actually pretty cool because the installer convinced me to put a high-res one that looks out over the valley. The system cost me way more than I thought it would, but the peace of mind is worth it. And the installer also put up signs on the property saying the place was monitored by video. I also installed a heavy-duty lockout for the water shutoff and drain valve. I hope to heck I don't have to lose the keys for it because if I do, it's going to be a bear to try and remove. I haven't told anyone but my wife that the water is locked off again. We have the keys. Last week I got separate calls at my office from both husbands trying to convince me to let them use the house like they always have. No, no, you're misusing it. So no. The older one had gone up with some friends for a guys hangout but couldn't get in because of the gate lock. He was pretty pissed and embarrassed about being locked out. I'm sure he would have broken the lock if he could have. During his call, he kept bouncing between pushy and victimhood. At one point, he threatened to rip the gate out of the goddamn ground. If that happens now, you're going to have to pay for it, sir. And probably end up in jail for trespassing. He also admitted they'd been renting it out to a few friends and that they needed the money. I was ruining their business. It's not your business, sir. It's not your place to have a business. I was ruining their business and that I should refund their guests' money. Me? F that. I should have recorded the conversation with him, but I don't know how to do that from an office phone anyway. There's a button. Promise there's a button on the phone. The other brother-in-law sounded like he was being made to call by my sister, and he really didn't put up a fight when I told him not to plan on ever using the place again. In any case, I told him they can't use the place and not to ask again. Sell it. It's time to sell it. At this point, I'm considering selling the vacation home. Wife and I won't use it enough to justify keeping it. It's not like there's going to be any family get-togethers there anytime soon. I mentioned selling it to my folks. Their response was pretty much whatever. I'd more than double my money by selling it. The place consists of 3 lots with killer views at the end of a private road, and I'd probably wait for a while to sell it. Doing so now would be an emotional decision. My sisters and I aren't currently speaking. I have no plans to initiate contact. I don't know what the status between them and my folks is, and I don't want to. On the upside, we spent an evening with my folks last week. Went to a new restaurant that was nice. No one brought up any of this crap. Mom did update us on the nieces and nephews. She's spending time with them at their homes. Sorry this update isn't full of laughs or owns. It's just life sometimes. Relevant comments. They seem very entitled. Could you rent it out yourself and or sue them for profits? I agree that my sisters and their families are very entitled. They're also in a very weak position because of all of this. The place is a bit remote to rent as a long-term home. Plus, there are times during the winter when the road is impassable, so staying there year-round is pretty iffy. There are a couple of permanent residents on the road who are at a lower elevation and relatively close to the year-round public road, but even they have to hunker down or bug out a few times each winter. Regarding making a vacation rental, doing so would seem by my sisters is rubbing salt in the wound and would give them a reason to create more drama. And honestly, we don't need the money. The place is paid for, it's great shape. It doesn't cost much to keep the lights on, etc. I did think about lawyering up and covering them with paper. It wouldn't even cost me much. A good friend is a property law attorney, but again, doing so would escalate things and give them a reason to create family drama. My primary goal at this point is to minimize my involvement with them and minimize any nonsense that causes my parents stress. I'm willing to take some short-term flack and absorb some expenses like camera setup to keep things contained. It could blow up again, but I suppose I'll drive off that bridge when I come to it. I don't think it'll sell right away, if at all. It's more of a last resort personal fantasy thought than anything else. There's a good chance that come holiday season, my folks will reset and want to have the entire family there, which is fine. We won't be going, of course, but I don't care if my parents have guests there. I intend to keep control of the place for the indefinite future, though, which will be inconvenient at times because I'm the only person with the gatekeep, but I can live with that. On the audacity. Yeah, the renting thing, I just don't have words One of the harsh but true things I told my sisters was that they had risked my property and stolen from me, and that made them no better than common thieves. Truth hurts. I don't think that's harsh at all. It's the truth. The response was that her parents hadn't told them they couldn't, so it was okay. I just can't think of it that way. That, well, they didn't say we couldn't. Well, they didn't know you were doing it. So how could they tell you you couldn't? I don't know about the spine, but thanks. I think it's more that I just don't care that much for them because of all this nonsense. I'm now having trouble caring if they live or die. That might be unhealthy of me, but I'm comfortable with my feelings. I agree about the arm's length thing too. We're staying in no contact with them for the indefinite future. Uh, Comment is this is the storm before the calm before the storm. They'll try to guilt you again. OP says, quite possibly, one thing I know for certain, I'll burn that place to the ground before my sister ever rents it out again. Financially, I'm pretty certain my oldest sister, who is renting out the place regularly, is screwed. I know they're trying to take a second mortgage, but unless they can contain their spending, that will be a stopgap at best. Why doesn't she get a job? You said they were stay-at-home moms. Why doesn't she get a job? I admit I didn't realize it till recently how much they and the other sister slash brother-in-law resented me over my financial situation. But I figure it's pretty intense. I honestly thought both families were doing well. They drive new cars, have nice houses. Everybody has all kinds of electronic gadgets. But all of that was smoke and mirrors, at least for the oldest sister. I'm finding it impossible to give a crap, though. I should probably be more empathetic about all of that, but the truth is, I don't really care much about my sisters and their families. I don't blame you. They have not treated you well. Why should you care? I don't feel really any bond to them, certainly not like I have with my folks or my in laws. Heck, I'm way closer to my wife's siblings than mine. In any case, I don't care about my sister so long as it doesn't involve me. Next comment, why not just sell it? He says, my parents' dad in particular, love the area the house is in, and it's close enough so that they can drive there with minimal effort. I think they prefer I not sell it so they can continue to use it, which is fine with me, and they like getting everyone together. So my sisters and their families will end up there, and really it's fine too. We're not going to be there. I hope they have a good time. But as to my sisters using the house again without my parents being there, never again. And the next one is moving forward. Yes, this will probably be a long-term issue for my siblings. But if they can't harass me, if we never speak again, all they do is make my parents upset, and my parents are capable of dealing with that themselves. Eventually, everyone will get used to the new reality of the house not being available. I'm going to find a property manager in the area who can unlock the main gate for me and do other routine stuff so I don't have to go up there when my folks want to use it. That will cost me less than the place being used by my sisters 3 out of 4 weekends. I paid for all the bills, and the place will stay secure. And also, yes, my oldest sister can get a job and or they can cut back their lifestyle. They probably won't do it until it's a massive reality check, like getting their suburban repossessed. But that's their problem. We won't be helping them. My folks can't realistically do so. I'm having a hard time pretending to care one way or another. Like John Wade said, life is hard. It's harder when you're stupid. New update, October 16, 2023, 1 month later. A couple of people have asked for an update, so here you go. I hired a guy to look over the vacation home. He lives in the area and takes care of his folks and manages a good number of properties. Some are vacation rentals, some are weekend places like ours. He has access to my camera feeds and does physical check on the place every week or two. I think he may have the best job in the mountains. He gets paid to drive around with his dog and walk around the properties and hang out on people's decks whenever he feels like it. He also has a camera feed from a house near the start of a private road that still takes shots whenever a vehicle goes past. $450 per month, plus he'll do basic maintenance and repairs on an hourly basis. He's friends with all the sheriff's deputies. That sounds like a lot. $450 a month just to check on a house and go up there once in a while and unlock a gate. That seems outrageous. He's friends with all the sheriff deputies too. Got a lot of peace of mind from doing this, and he sends photos from his walks to everyone once or twice a week. I have to brag on my parents a bit. I got this from them at dinner tonight. They were getting pressure from my sisters to demand that I open up the vacation house to everyone for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving up there had become quite the tradition for the family. Not for me and my wife. We have gone once in 7 years. My dad refused to bother me about it because he knew I'd say no. They came up with what I think is a great plan, announced they're organizing Thanksgiving gathering. If everyone split the cost in advance, they rent an Airbnb in the mountains. Otherwise, they'd host Thanksgiving at their place, or one of the sisters could host it. This caused a fight between the sisters because the middle sister was doing all for the Airbnb, but the second oldest one doesn't have any money. The deadline to commit to the Airbnb has passed. Looks like Thanksgiving will be at my parents' place, regardless, we won't be there. My parents have asked that we not sell the place for now. They've decided they still like to use it occasionally, but not until my sisters have come to terms with the new normal. Of course, I'd probably like it if everyone could get together there again out down the road, but that's just not going to happen. I'd just as soon sell it and move on at this point, but I can live with keeping it if my folks wanted to use it for now and then. Plus, it will be worth even more down the road. Wife and I had stayed in no contact with my sisters and their husbands. Both sisters have called from new numbers after Google Voice and left messages insisting I meet with them for our parents' sake to work out how everyone can use the family vacation home. No. They called my wife too. I'm glad I was already in the habit of not answering calls because if I don't recognize the number. I honestly don't know if they're delusional or if they think they can bully me into giving them access again. Don't really care. My parents tell me the oldest sister and her husband are getting out of the leases for their SUV and big ass truck and are selling their jet skis and other crap they never needed. That's going to be really hard on her. She's quite the braggart and won't like being seen in something older, smaller, cheaper. My brother-in-law's identity is pretty much wrapped in his truck and as well even has a small two of the truck company's logo. That's weird. Why would you have a car logo on you? That's so weird. Which frankly is one of the many reasons why he and I never hung out. Several people have suggested that I make the vacation home into an Airbnb. I don't plan to do so at least anytime soon. I wouldn't do that. I know it would make money, but it would cause an incredible amount of drama across the family and would stress out my parents. They don't need that. It would also be a hassle to remove personal things my folks have there. That stuff has nowhere to go. There would be wear and tear on the place, and I'm sure it would take some amount of time and effort on my part, even though I'd use a manager to do it. It's just not worth it to me. We have an update. Update number 5, November 27th, 2023. Wrote most of this yesterday, but decided to wait to post until I wasn't so wound up. Waiting didn't work. I'm still wound up. Sorry if this ramble so much has happened. I had a hard time writing coherently. Things have gone to hell. I really, truly did not think anything like this would happen. Short version, my brothers broke into my vacation home and were arrested. They've been charged with breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats. All class 1 misdemeanors. I've refused to drop the charges. I might do so if paid full for the damage they caused. They're still in jail as of Saturday evening. I assume they're out now. Things had settled down, at least I thought so. Haven't seen or heard from my sisters in over 6 weeks. My parents went up to the house for a weekend and had a good time. David, the property manager I hired, has worked out great. He's done a number of repairs I asked him to do, and we've given him a list that he's going to work on. He usually sends a photo or two of wildlife or a sunset to his clients every week. It was kind of making me want to get up there. Friday after Thanksgiving, my brother-in-laws went to my vacation home. They used an angle grinder to cut through the chain on the driveway gate and damaged the gate in the process. They tried to get through the front door. They ruined the lock set and gouged the door badly. They finally got through to the utility floor door and a locked internal door. They also broke into the barn. I'm not sure why. When they went out through the front door, they were met by the sheriff's deputies and David. David gets notifications from the camera system when there's activity, and he saw what was going on and called the sheriff's department. According to David, the brother-in-laws tried to BS their way out of it, but the deputies didn't buy it. Breaking into an empty house is a pretty serious thing up there. Usually it's meth heads who ransack the place and hawk everything. When the brothers were arrested, they freaked out big time. I'm just calling them brothers. They were saying how they were going to beat the heck out of me, etc. Not smart to do in front of cops. David in the sheriff's office tried calling my wife and me to see what we wanted to do, but we were spending the day with her parents and had left our phones in the car so we could be in vacation mode. So they booked the brother-in-laws on everything, which is what I would have asked them to do anyway. Brothers called their wives from jail, who of course freaked out. They called my folks, tried to call me, they were blocked. Tried to find a lawyer up there to arrange bail. Not easy to do given it's a rural area and it was a holiday weekend. Older sister has zero cash and her cards are maxed out, so if they made bail, my middle sister would have to pay for both husbands. I know they were still in jail as of Saturday afternoon. Yeah, if you're caught on a holiday weekend like that, on a Friday, any Friday really, you're not getting out till Monday. Older, we didn't check our phones until late Friday on the way home from the in-laws. There were tons of calls and messages from my mom, dad, the sheriff's department. Talk about ruining a great day. I was in such a good mood. I looked at my phone. My wife read through the texts and listened to the messages, read them out to me. And by the time we got home, I had some idea of what was going on. I put my brain back in thinking mode and tried to get past my anger. Failed. Called David and got the rundown of what happened and how bad the damage was, resulting in more anger. I ended up Friday calling the sheriff department and telling them there was no misunderstanding. The Bills had no right to be on my property and I wanted to press charges. I didn't call my folks back, barely slept. Waited until Saturday afternoon to call my folks. They were both pretty rattled about it all, my mom in particular. My sisters had browbeat them into telling me I should tell the cops it was a mistake and that I wanted the charges dropped. No, no, Mom, you know that's not the right thing to do. I refused flat out and told them there was no way I'd do that until I spoke with an attorney and also not until I was paid in full for whatever it will cost to fix everything 100%. My mom was crying hard by the time we got off the phone, which of course made me feel like crap. My dad suggested it was time for a complete start over, but he said that he thought they needed to pay for the damage. I haven't gone up to the property yet. There's nothing I can do, and I'll probably go nuts when I see the damage in person. The photos are bad enough. I'm hoping to tomorrow or Wednesday, but my job isn't one where I can just wander off for non-emergencies. I've left messages with the two attorney friends, asking them to recommend the right lawyers to go after my sisters and brothers-in-law. I don't know what I can do exactly, but I'm hoping to get restraining orders. I have all the texts they sent me that might help. I'm strongly considering suing them for the money they made renting the place. I don't care about the cash, but it will help me make them as miserable as possible. The gloves are definitely off at this point. Couple of side notes. Bills had no idea I'd hired someone to keep an eye on things or that there were cameras there. Idiots. My parents knew, but I hadn't told them because they knew it would just give my sisters a reason to drama up. There are signs on the property stating it's being monitored with cameras and no trespassing signs, though. Should have known by the signs, dude. My wife has completely had it at this point. I don't blame her. She's been more patient about it, but she has reached her limit and was not shy about letting me know. She told me it is up to me how to deal with that, but that she thought they all needed to be taught a hard lesson. Older Bill likely won't face any repercussions at his job over this, but middle Bill has security clearance, so he might. I'm hoping it will be motivation for middle Bill to pay the damages himself immediately. David, the caretaker, has an interesting background. I knew he was friends with some of the deputies. I figured it was because they were all local, but I was wrong. He was a cop in a big city for years, was shot on duty, and afterwards decided to quit and move to where his parents had retired. He has some PTSD over it all. His dog is a certified service dog and usually with him. I know law enforcement people tend to hang out together. I guess that's how they became his friend group. Also, if you're managing properties like that, you are in touch with the sheriff's office a lot, and you become friends with them that way too. I don't want to see or speak with these a-holes for the rest of my life. I know this is a direct conflict with my overwhelming urge to make their lives as miserable as possible. We have an update. Update 6. December 2nd, 2023, Saturday. So this is about a week later. I didn't think we'd be doing another post this soon, but something happened over the past 2 days. Short version, I think the coroner has turned on this crap. Thursday afternoon, I got a courier-delivered envelope at my office. It was a signed letter from both my brother-in-laws and a cashier's check for $5,000. In the letter, they made what I have to say was a really sincere apology. Among other things, they acknowledged breaking in and acknowledged it was wrong. The $5,000 was to pay for the damage, that they'd pay more if it cost more than that. They also said they'd stay away from the vacation home unless my wife and I specifically invited them. Why did they do it in the first place? That's my question. They also asked what I could do to get the charges dropped as soon as possible because they could both lose their jobs, and that they agreed to a restraining order of whatever else it took for that to happen. There was more as well, all contradictory, but that's the gist of it. To say this is a shock is an understatement, obviously a total of 180 from their past behavior. I already made an appointment with an attorney to see about suing my brother-in-laws over the damage, trying to get a restraining order. I called them and told them what I just received, and he agreed to meet me at the end of the day instead of that next week. Told me not to deposit the check. We met for about 2 hours. He ended up recommending that the wife and I do a settlement and mutual release agreement with all four of them, sisters and brother-in-laws. He said if we went after them via lawsuit, we'd almost certainly never win. That could take 2 years or more. There would be a sizable upfront legal fees and that we might never see the money. He also said we could keep the $5,000 free and clear if we didn't let them off the hook. Even if we didn't let them off the hook. He's drawing up an agreement. It won't be ready until Monday. The agreement will include what is essentially the civil equivalent of a restraining order. I'd already asked my property manager to work up a bid on the damage repair, to call him after the meeting and asked what he'd get me as close to the estimate as possible. That Friday, he thinks it will take about $4,000 to fix everything. Most of that's for the front door. Front doors can be expensive. I've asked about replacing our front door, and it's ridiculous. On Friday, my attorney had contacted each of the bills and told them they were proposing and advised them to get their own lawyers. Both agreed to it. The middle bill told him that they could afford to either pay for the damages or pay for a lawyer, but not both. And they figured a lawyer wouldn't make a difference given that they really had no defense for what they did. His biggest concern was that if the charges could be dropped, from what I can tell, they're willing to do anything, sign anything, to make this all go away. My attorney also called the DA's office on Friday to discuss dismissing the charges. Got the name of the prosecutor and left them a message, but has not spoken to them yet. He thinks they'll dismiss the charges because the bills are paying up and have no priors. But then again, he's not a criminal lawyer. I also said I should be prepared to drive up there Monday or Tuesday to tell the prosecutor in person that I want everything dismissed. He also advised me to continue to be no contact with the sisters and bills except for especially for the next 6 months, and that it would be really important to follow in terms of the agreement when it comes to future interactions with them. I'm guessing that the bills change of heart is due to them having figured out what's at stake for them, what's going to cost them in legal fees and fines and so on. There's also the highly likely possibility that they could go to jail for up to 120 days. And as I mentioned, one of them has the security clearance for his job, could be at risk. So this is their Hail Mary pass to keep their lives normal. This isn't a perfect resolution to the situation, but at least it will get me past the legal and financial parts of the crap show that I've been in for the past few months. I doubt I'll ever have to have a civil relationship with any of them ever again, and that's fine. What I want most at this point is to close this off and get on with my life and never speak to any of them again. I'm exhausted from this. Wife pretty much feels the same. Kind of a side issue, but getting the written apology was weirdly a huge moment for me. I wasn't expecting that ever, and apparently it matters to me quite a bit. The money doesn't feel particularly important at this moment. I'll take it though. I'm pretty certain my middle sister and her husband came up with the money. The cashier's check is from the credit union of the company he works for. Yeah, the oldest sister doesn't have any money. We know that. Once things are, that oldest sister better be very, very grateful for younger sister. Once things are signed, I plan to make one more update, probably half edit to this post. Sorry for being so pedantic. Writing these posts has helped clear my head, and the feedback has really helped. Truly appreciate everyone's comments, insights, and support. I really, really hope none of you have to go through this kind of nonsense. We have an update. Update number 7. Thursday, December 7th. 2020, so 5 days after the last one. Tuesday morning, I met with my attorney to went over the agreement, changed a couple of minor things, and he sent it to my sisters, which included a requirement that they pay my attorney's fees about $3,000. They weren't happy about it and tried to negotiate it away. But he told them they either accept it as it is or it wouldn't be no deal at all. We'd proceed with suing them for the money they got from renting out the place, wear and tear from renting it, repair costs from their break-in, emotional distress, loss of income from having to deal with this attorney fee, and whatever else we could. He also told them he would push hard with the DAs to prosecute every charge. Short version, they came in and signed. I wasn't there. I'm told it was a pretty tense environment, and the middle bill appeared to have taken charge, and that at one point he told both my sisters to shut the hell up, or he's walking away from the whole thing, making his own deal with us, and the rest of them could all go to hell. They provided another cashier's check for $2,500, claiming that's all they had. It's close enough that we're willing to accept it as full payment. Attorney also told me that everyone was very cold and curt towards one another, but that they all managed to keep it together long enough to sign and left without making too big of a scene. I drove up to the vacation home early yesterday to check out the damage and meet at the DA's office. Seeing the damage made my blood boil. It was so senseless. I was so pissed I was ready to eat the cost of repairs and do everything I could to ruin their lives. Tried walking it off, failed utterly. Ended up talking to a good friend who was kind enough to stay on the phone for over an hour, letting me spew and vent. He eventually got me back to focusing on the bigger picture, putting this behind me, and getting on with my life. Honestly, I'm still not sure that's what I want, but I do want to do, but I settled enough to get some food in me and felt better. After lunch, I went to the DA's office. He hadn't made an appointment and had to wait a while, but got to meet with the assistant DA who's got the case. Short version is that since I don't want to prosecute and the bills have already paid for the damages, they are willing to drop all the charges except trespassing, which in this case would play a class 2 misdemeanor. The bills have to plead guilty and pay for whatever the fine the judge sends. I'm also told that if they fight the trespassing charge or ever so much as fart in public up there, that it would go poorly with them. It helped that the bills didn't resist arrest. If they had none of the charges would have been dropped. I went by the sheriff's office to thank them for getting up there so quickly and everything. Wanted to thank the deputies personally, but only spoke to the dispatch person. And I tried to meet up with David, the property manager, but I couldn't get a hold of him. A couple of notes. The agreement includes a no contact clause. Basically, if anyone show up for my wife and I, or the other way around, whoever got there last has to leave immediately. No contact except through attorney or other mutually agreed upon third parties. They get to keep whatever they made from renting the vacation house, my big give, unless I have tax consequences, which they will be responsible for. And we release each other from all other liabilities through the present. There's more to it than that, but those are the high points. My wife and I will sign the agreement later today. After that, I can't talk about most of this, but I can't talk around it. I think this is my final update regarding all this nonsense, but I'll respond to comments if I can. As I've said before, posting about all of this and reading folks' thoughts and responses has been really helpful and probably been key in my being able to handle it in a relatively healthy way, so thank you all. We have an update. Update number 8. March 24th, 2024. Older sister and brother-in-law have filed for bankruptcy. Thought it would be worth an update for anyone that's interesting. Unsurprisingly, my sister and brother-in-law have filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. While I don't care about what happens to them financially or otherwise, I've also managed to drag my parents into this mess, which I'm not happy about. At the start of the year, my Bill's oversized, customized Pride and Joy truck was repossessed. Pretty embarrassing for him, I'm sure. It happened at work. So everybody knows. Everybody knows you're living beyond your means. Everybody that's at work that doesn't have the big ass truck knows that you don't also have the big ass truck. It was a breaking point. Without the truck, they have to share a Kia my parents loaned them, and they can barely fit in there with their 3 kids. Financially, they're effed. They owe at least $125,000, probably more on high interest credit cards They have zero equity in their house and have a couple of personal loans that I'm pretty sure they got under false pretenses. They have loans on their jet skis, ATVs, and trailers. They also owe a chunk of money from defaulting on the truck lease. They hadn't made any payments to their credit cards or loans in months and were behind on their house payments as well. They got out of the lease on my sister's massive SUV late last year. They were pretty upside down on it as well, so I had to come up with cash to do so. They also had to pay an attorney the fine and court costs for my brother-in-law's trespassing charge at the vacation house, and they owe my middle sister and her husband money for bail and their portion of the damages to the place. As I mentioned before, my folks have never been financial wizards, but they have at least been generally responsible. They're retired, their home is paid off, and they live off Social Security and pensions. Altogether, they get more than they spend. Minimal savings, just emergency fund. Turns out my folks emptied out that fund and cashed out their small IRA 20 grand to give to my sister. They let her catch up on the house payment and cover the negative equity in her car lease. But now literally every bit of savings my parents possessed is gone. Plus, my parents have been paying for their groceries for several months and continue to pay the insurance on the car they loaned my sister. That's financial abuse of your parents. I will say that parents owe their kids the world, but this is not that. According to my dad, my sisters worked my mom for weeks to get her to fork over the money. They worked on both my folks at the same time for a while, but my dad flat out refused every time. Eventually, my mom caved. She was worried that my sister would have to move into a hovel in some backwater town and that the kids would be barefoot and eating dirt. Dad's not happy about it, and to say there's some tension between them right now is an understatement, but they'll probably be fine. I was pretty disappointed in my parents and told me all this. I wasn't surprised. It sucks that they emptied out their savings to help, but I kind of get it. The way bankruptcy laws are in our state, getting caught up on the loan, my sister should be able to keep the house. They tried hard. I tried hard not to say how I felt about this. My sisters mostly succeeded. Really, I'm way more pissed about it than I should be. Oh, I'd be pissed too. The worst part for me is that my sister and Bill now contact me and my wife without any real fear of repercussions. The only penalty, the no contact agreement, is that if they violate it, we can go after them for the money they made from renting out the vacation house and related damage. Since they filed bankruptcy, that's not an impediment for them. I'm hoping they leave us alone, but who knows? Folks also told me that my middle sister and her husband have hit a rough spot and that he's not currently living with her and the kids. Just a guess, but I imagine he's had it for the whole family dynamic that caused this nonsense. Not directly related, but on a brighter note, I spent 2 weekends at the mountain house since the start of the year. Once with my wife, once alone. Both times there was a lot of snow and it was incredibly beautiful and relaxing. Very therapeutic. The place has good internet service now, thanks to Starlink, which is nice. Plus knowing that I can count on David, the property manager, to keep the place in shape / ready for us to visit and to help if we get snowed in, eliminates most of the stress in owning it. My folks have used it 2 times as well and get along great with David. There's an update. Update 9, July 2024. There's been a fair number of requests for an update considering it's coming up on 1 year anniversary of the pool incident. I thought I'd post one. My folks worked through my mom giving my oldest sister IRA and their emergency fund. Altogether, my mom gave her $45,000. According to Dad, once Mom realized how much she had been manipulated, she got mad as hell and upset as I've ever seen her. I think she had a moment of clarity. She and my dad ended up calling my sister on a 3-way call, and according to my dad, it went south pretty quickly. Sisters were gaslighting them. Mom lost her cool and ended up ripping into them hard. There were lots of tears, and eventually both my sisters hung up. My mom just wanted both sisters to acknowledge that they put her and Dad in a risky financial situation. Typical blow up, I guess, but it's not the kind of thing that happens in our family. The next morning, my dad called my older sister and told her he'd be picking up the car they loaned her. She tried to argue, but he told her it wasn't up for discussion. He got a neighbor friend to take him to her house as soon as he'd hung up and drove it home without talking to her. Sister called and went off on him and said lots of nasty stuff, which of course hurt him, but at least they have the car back. That's good. I'm glad they have the car back. Dad also told me something that left me dumbfounded. For the past 17 years, they've been giving both sisters a grocery allowance of up to $500 a month. What the effing F? I thought I'd have a pretty good handle on where their money was going, but clearly I was wrong. This started back when I was going to grad school and living at home. My sisters asked for the money because they thought wasn't fair that I was living home rent free, and then just never ended. Ma'am, did you not live at home rent free? He was a kid in school. $1,000 for groceries for 17 years, that's $17,000. No, 500 a month for 17 years. Okay, I gotta do math. Where's my calculator? 17 years times 12 months times 500. No, 1,000. Because they both get 500. $204,000 that they could have saved for their retirement right now. In any case, my parents cut them off. It's surprising my sisters weren't happy about it. Who the hell gets an allowance from their parents when they're in their 40s? No kidding. Because of all of this, my folks and parents quit talking for a while. I don't know if they've resolved everything, that they appear to be on speaking terms again. Although my parents aren't having them or the kids over. And I'm in don't ask mode, but it's their business. I feel bad for the kids not seeing their grandparents. I feel bad for the nieces and nephews not seeing their uncle or their grandparents. My folks are using vacation home fairly regularly. Currently, they're up there for a 2-week stay and will probably make it 3. Unfortunately, my wife and I haven't spent any time up there lately other than me having a couple of day trips to check on and drop off some supplies. The property manager I hired, David, is still taking good care of the place. Side note, my middle sister told my mom that the older sister has been making over $6,000 a month renting the house out, and that it had been going on for nearly 3 years. Pretty certain she didn't declare the income, so that's like grossing $8,000 to $9,000 per month. I will forever see that as galling. Oldest sister and brother-in-law still have their house. Attorney checked on their bankruptcy case, and the court converted it from a Chapter 11 to a Chapter 13, which means they have to pay back a lot more of their debts. My sister and her husband are still separated. Middle sister and her husband are still separated. I don't know if my middle brother-in-law has any issues with the security clearance because of the breaking into the house, but I do know he's still with the same big defense company. That's good. At my parents' request, I have been working on putting their house into a trust. They want me to manage their affairs as they get older and keep the house safe for my sisters. I'm working with an attorney, but it's not done yet. Folks have asked me to be the trustee and have also given me full power of attorney. The best part about the last few months is that my sister and brother-in-laws have left us alone and stayed away from the vacation home. My wife and I are really happy to be back to our normal lives. Everyone else's lives are going great. We have an update. Update 10, December 2024. It wasn't that because it wasn't that consequency, but I'll include it here for the narrative. I didn't post update 10 from December of 2024, but I'll put it here for a narrative. In August, my attorney let me know he's received a letter from my middle brother-in-law. It was the first contact from any of my sisters or their husbands since they've been arrested. It was a long letter. Had a sincere apology and a lot of information he thought I should know. The biggest one was that he and my sister are divorced, not separated. He moved out and filed for divorce right after we made the settlement agreement. He and my middle sister kept it quiet until it was done. Their house sold in June and she's moved into an apartment. He told me that his being arrested last year, along with my other brother-in-law breaking into the vacation house could have cost him his job and killed his career, and that was a moment of clarity for him. He said the dynamic between the four of them, my sisters, him, and my oldest sister's husband, had become totally toxic, and they were all borderline alcoholics or worse, and then he had to get away from that environment. He no longer speaks to my oldest sister or her husband. He also asked if he, my dad, and I could meet and have an extended conversation, as there were things he needed to talk about in person. Frankly, I was unenthused, but my wife thought it was worth doing, and I asked my dad if he was interested. He was, so I relayed a response to my now ex-brother-in-law through my attorney, and we met over lunch. We talked for over 2 hours. It was pretty exhausting. Ex-Bill looked better than I'd seen him in, well, forever. He's quit drinking and is in therapy. He lost a lot of weight and looked fit. He was apologetic about all the BS he'd been involved in and apologized to my dad for hiding the divorce. Told us therapy was really helping him and asked me if the 5K he met covered all the damage to the vacation house. I told him it had, and thanked me for talking to the county prosecutor. He said he strongly considered transferring to a new project, which would have him living overseas for the next 2 years, that he really needed to reset his life, but he was trying to balance his mental health against not being part of a kid's life every day. Ex-Bill also hit us with, for me, was quite the what WTF. Apparently, my sisters have hated me since before I was born and have always hidden it from the rest of us. They liked things better when there were just the two of them. I have a friend whose sister once told her life was great until you two were born, about her and her younger sibling. Life was great until you two were born. Apparently, it messed up her whole life. He said when they drank, which was whenever they were together, my sisters would often bitch about me being the favorite child, how my folks gave me more opportunities than they had, how my dad doing well was a result of that, and how I didn't deserve my success. Never mind that younger siblings always get the better end of the deal because, and I say this as an oldest sibling, the parents are usually in a better financial place than they were when the older kids were the same age. None of that made any sense to me or my dad. All three of us went to the same public schools, had dumb part-time jobs, etc. My parents, my folks paid for 100% of their college, not mine. I got a full scholarship. I was pretty shocked by this, but my dad was utterly speechless. Dad eventually said he had no clue that they felt that way as kids, and that he and my mom never favored any of us. He's still having a hard time with this. Personally, I'm embarrassed that I was clueless about it all my life, but it does explain a lot. Ex-brother-in-law warned us that the sisters and remaining bill intended to put on full court press to alienate my folks from my wife and me. They also planned to keep the grandkids away from my folks to pressure them. He said they still 1000% convinced that my folks are sitting on a ton of money and want some of it ASAP, and are sure it's not my folks from giving them anything. That got a laugh out of my dad because he and my mom simply don't have any real money. They do have their house, of course. Ex-Bill told us that he and my middle sister had rented out the vacation house a total of 6 times over the years and offered me to pay what they made. I declined and told him it was in the past. Also told my older sister and brother-in-law had never declared the income tax from renting out the vacation house. He did. He didn't want to get in trouble with the IRS. I like this brother-in-law. He shouldn't have. He did a bad thing breaking in, but he's not a complete bad egg. Both my mom and I spoke with the ex-brother-in-law separately for a few minutes. I don't know what they talked about. I thanked him for his apology and for making things right financially. I also wished him well and told him I'd be willing to talk to him again down the road. Don't think that's going to happen. I probably could have been more forgiving, but I think he appreciated me not BSing him by acting all this crap hasn't affected my wife and me. There was more, but it's less important, and this is too long as it is. After ex-Bill left, I asked my dad if he and mom and I could sit down and talk about all this. I didn't immediately, but that's how he took it. He called mom and let her know I was coming over, so I rolled with it. She was pretty hurt by my sister's plans to ruin her and dad's relationship with me and my wife and to use the grandkids as pawns. She cried a lot and wanted to confront them immediately. My dad got her to put a pin in that for a while. My mom was so dumbfounded about me supposedly being the favorite child. She feels they were actually more strict with me because I had a curfew. My sisters didn't. which, to be honest, I barely remember that. It was 25 years ago. Couple of side notes. Middle sister eventually told our folks she's divorced. She's currently living off child support and her half of the home sale. Supposedly she's trying to find a job. She should have done that already. Why should I have a job? Go to McDonald's, get a job, dude. Seriously. My parents have gone low contact with both sisters. No idea how permanent. Mom seems like she's completely had it with them for the foreseeable future. They're spending a lot of time at the vacation home. They were up there for over a month at one point. Ex Bill found my Reddit post. He's not terribly happy about them. He feels they're more or less accurate, although he obviously found them slanted toward my point of view. He disagreed that it's boring, but said to be fair that he finds me boring as well. I can live with that. Our worlds don't have much overlap except my sister. We got the trust fund set up for my parents' house. I'm the trustee. This has been emotionally draining for me, and I decided it would be a good idea for me to see a therapist again. I've seen one in the past mainly for stress-related issues. I've been doing so far a while. It's definitely helpful. Therapist tells me my decision to stay in no contact with my siblings is healthy for now, but also wants me to keep an open road down the line. Merry Christmas to you all. We have an update. Last month, 2026. Sorry this post has been so long. Haven't been back to Reddit for a while. Using my old laptop today, I was still logged into the site. I saw some messages asking for an update, so here you are. The short version is that yes, as predicted, my sister did come to my folks again, trying to suck money off of them, get them to turn on me. They failed, it got ugly, and my parents barely speak to either of them these days. Long, gory details. Please note that what I say regarding my sister is info for my folks. At the start of the year, I decided to replace my folks' car. I paid for the last one about 8 years ago when Dad retired and it was still in good shape, relatively low miles and still reliable. But it was also 8 years old and I didn't want them to be stranded, especially if they were at the vacation home. So for an early 50th wedding anniversary, I got them a new mid-sized Toyota SUV with all-wheel drive. I mentioned the car stuff because it became a point of entry for my sister's latest campaign to get money from them. First several months of 2025 were quiet. My folks and sisters established somewhat of a detente. I don't. They were talking occasionally, and my mom and dad saw their grandkids a few times. Basically, no drama. Both my folks were happy with that, and mom was fairly verbal about how much lower stress their lives were this way. Being low contacted, it helped her realize how much my sister's behavior was wearing her down. Dad was fine with it too, but he's pretty laid back to begin with and hadn't been in the firing line as much as mom. Poor mom. I feel bad for her. For their anniversary, my folks had a small party at the clubhouse where they live. Wife and I couldn't make it, so my parents invited the sisters and their families. At the parties, my sisters saw our folks' new car and made multiple comments about how well off they must be to afford it. A few days later, they approached my mom and tried to get her to pay for all 5 kids' summer camps right then and there. They told her that I had always paid for it in the past, a total lie, and was refusing. So she and Dad needed to step up. In addition, they told her, you obviously have plenty of money, you bought a fancy new car even though you didn't need it. A bit of background for those unfamiliar with these programs. I was. In higher income social circles, it's popular for your kids to stay at fancy summer camps that last about a month. They aren't cheap. $4,000 to $5,000 per kid plus other expenses while they're there. Some are more. Supposedly, lifelong friendships are established and connections are made. At least that's what my wife explained it to me. She used to go, and neither I nor my siblings ever did. So we were talking $25,000 for all 5 kids that my sisters expect our parents to hand over on the spot because otherwise they lose their slots. The slots you don't have, slots that you don't have and don't deserve. Mom gave them flat out no. They started badgering her, and so we're at it when Dad got home. The whole thing became a yelling match. My folks kept saying they didn't have that kind of money and wouldn't spend it that way anyhow. And the sisters kept telling them, stop hoarding your money and help us now, not when you're dead. It got Mom pretty shook up. During the argument, my folks told them that I'd bought their last cars, both the last car and the new one, which I asked them not to tell them, but I get why it happened. Yeah, I do too. That's fair. This caused my sisters to go ballistic. They started claiming that I'd given folks their money and that they should sell the car and get a loan against it and give the money to them. Where do you get off? At that point, my dad made them leave, and they've been mostly no contact with my sister since then. Folks did get all the kids Christmas presents, and they FaceTime occasionally, but they haven't seen the kids face to face since. That's really sad. After all this went down, my sisters tried to contact me. They both called my mobile and office lines and my wife's mobile from new numbers, but we don't answer unknown calls. They also emailed me from new accounts. I only read one of the emails. It was basically a sad attempt to manipulate me into giving them money. I had the attorney who dealt with all this before send them cease and desist letters to stop contacting me, or I would pursue criminal charges for harassment and sue them for damages. Throwing money at attorneys to intimidate a relative so they'd stop bothering you is kind of a crappy thing to do, but it worked, and they went back to leaving me alone. Other notes: oldest sister and husband's bankruptcy is in the repayment phase, which will take them several years. Apparently, it's pretty tough for them because the repayment gets deducted from his paychecks, so they can't have it around. They also can't have money to spend. According to the conversation I had with my ex Bill, middle sister's ex, they're scraping by, driving crap cars, and have fallen out with their friends group due to their behaviors. Lack of money, and because they've screwed over several friends by not refunding the money they'd been paid to use in my vacation home. Given how much appearances and status mean to them, it's worse punishment than jail. Ex Bill also says that they continue to drink too much. He says my remaining bill has been diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension and other issues, but hasn't changed his habits or lost any weight. Oldest sister never did get a job, and she hasn't paid back a dime of the $45K she borrowed from mom 2 years ago to let her keep the house. Also, my middle sister ran out of money and had to give up the place she rented after her divorce that kept her kids in the same school system. She's working, but it doesn't pay well, and even with child support, there was no way she was going to be able to afford to stay in the district long term. She ended up moving in with the older sister and their family. They converted the garage for her and the kids. This was a whole other clusterfuck that's not worth going into. No permits, but bad behavior on everyone's part. Fed up neighbors made for a lot of drama. They're all still living there as far as I know. On a happier note, my parents spent amount of time at the vacation home last year. They purchased a fair share amount of stuff, especially furniture they've been storing there since they sold the new home we grew up in. That allowed me to get the outbuilding fixed up, weather tight, garage door working so now it can be parked in. David, my property manager who lives in the area, managed to work to get it done before the snow season started. Wife and I also made a couple of trips, which was nice. I have a feeling this is not over. I have a feeling this is not over. This saga is actually top 3 best Reddit stories, in my opinion. It's so rare to find out an OPU has a spine and doesn't let an entitled family push him around. Well, that was a thing. Holy cow. Oh, that was a haul, guys. How long did that take? I don't know. I'll look it up later. Next, we have Mildly Infuriating, entitled The Wedding Reception Centerpieces featured a beta fish. The bride and groom plan flushed them alive. I'm slightly vexed. And I want to show you a picture of a beta fish in case you're unaware. They're beautiful and live a long time in a very small space because they're a low oxygen fish. That one's not even that pretty. There's way prettier ones. Daughter had one for forever. Years ago, my coworker attended a wedding at which the reception dinner tables featured a live betta fish in small bowls as part of the centerpiece. While chatting with the bride at the end of the evening, my coworker asked what they were going to do with all the fish. The plan was to flush them all down the toilet alive. My coworker immediately said no need for that and insisted on taking them all home. That Monday, she came to work and asked who wanted to adopt the betta fish. This was my first betta, who I jokingly called my rescue betta. She lived for almost 5 years. They did live a long time. The wine glass were only home for less than a day before I got our 5-gallon tank set up So please no beta lovers yell at me. I'm one of you. Top comment is from Shy Butter, and they say, I worked at Petco. A customer came in for goldfish to use as centerpieces. We refused her business. A lot of things go wrong with the company as a whole, but I'm very glad my coworkers and I flag these things. Thank you, and your coworker is awesome. Second top right comment is the fish wanted. I wanted fish as a centerpiece at my one too, but I refused to torture live animals like that, so I made paper ones. Everyone wanted to take one home. That's cute. It's super cute. Let me get over here. Come here, cursor. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? I love it. That's awesome. Wanami answers, original artistic overall, very pleasant to look at. I would be stealing these from the other tables. Reasonable sort says to feature animal reviews at your wedding is absolutely whining beyond me. No disaster says, see also Dove releases, butterfly releases. People get stupid for a chance at being center of attention. Ancient says, why no wasp release? Butterfly release seems like it could be a good thing given the right circumstances. But not doves. Wing You Karen is entitled Angry That You Can't Be Racist. And it's Aldi. Hello, Aldi. Aldi, quality, respect, responsibility. We are committed to inclusion and will not tolerate discrimination, harassment, or racism. 1-star review. From the moment you entered the doors, they remind you not to be racist. They put up posters warning the clients not to be racist. Why shop at a place that treats you that way? They're not treating me anyway, ma'am. Because I'm not racist. Rabbit Glitter says, please be decent or don't shop here. The nerve. Second typewriter comment is Corrido. Who TF gets mad about not being able to be racist? Sabre fan says racists. Next he says, particularly the subsection of racists that are indeed biased against all others for a reason of race, that are also socially aware enough that they know being considered an open bigot slash racist is an indictment against their moral character. They're not mad that others are being hurt by quick judgments based on how they look. They're offended that others are warning them that they will be judged for their words and actions and that deny the humanity of their peers. These people are often worse offenders than open, proud racists because they're better at making up wrongful justifications for their negative biases and will hide their hate behind the guise of geniality. That's them that sway otherwise decent human beings into believing falsities about their neighbors because their hate is easier to ignore or to explain away than those who blatantly state prejudice without pretending there's logic behind it. Next is from Am I Overreacting? And it's entitled, Am I Overreacting for Quitting a Babysitting Job on the Spot After the Mom Insulted Me? No. Most likely no. I, 22 female, have been babysitting for a family every weekend, like weekday morning for an hour. I take care of 2 kids, getting them ready. No issues. Getting them ready, drop them off at school using Uber. I charge $16 an hour, and I've also stayed a bit longer without charging extra. Recently, mom asked if I could babysit from 7:30 to 3:30 during the kids' break. I said I'd be more than happy. She asked about her rate, and I said my rate would stay the same, $16 an hour. She said we should talk about a flat rate. Instead, I suggested it's about 8 hours. I could do the whole day for $115. She immediately said I was taking advantage of the situation, and she would only pay me $50 for the entire day. When I said that doesn't work for me, she started yelling and said I was greedy, along with some really harsh personal comments about my appearance that I felt was completely unnecessary. I told her I wouldn't be continuing at all, quit on the spot, and left. Since then, she's been constantly texting me saying I'm unprofessional and that I didn't give them any notice to find someone, among other things. I told her I won't be returning. Am I overreacting, quitting, and refusing to go back? No, not at all. When you treat people badly, they don't deserve notices. Edit. Thank you to everyone who responded. I really appreciate it. I just want to clarify that I know quitting was the right decision. What I was unsure about is that whether I overreacted by quitting on the spot and leaving them with no childcare at any time, or to figure something out. No, they'll learn a lesson from this. It's a lesson that they need to learn. I saw a few comments saying it was obvious, which I understand. I also want to clarify where I'm from. The minimum wage is $16 an hour. At the time, I was desperate without a job, so I based my rate on that. Since then, I've done occasional babysitting for others and now charge $18.50. Helpful editor says, of course not. You determine what kind of treatment you allow. Yep. Second top right comment was deleted. Sea Monstra is the third top right comment, and they say if she doesn't want to pay you a professional rate, then she doesn't get to expect professional behavior out of you. NOR. Ladies Devil says she technically got professional behavior. My response would be something to the effect of that. My job does not require me to accept verbal abuse, nor does professional contact require that I tolerate or subject myself to such for any reason. As such, her behavior negated any necessity of providing any kind of notice, period. I would like to end with the fact that professionals are not required to tolerate her abuse, and that perhaps she should keep her mouth shut in the future. I would then stop interacting with her. Next, we have best of Redditor updates. Like we didn't already have that for like an hour. Was it an hour? It was pretty close to half an hour. At least a half an hour. Next, we have best of Redditor updates entitled Daughter is suspended for school for 2 weeks and school will only let her back in if she gets unnecessary therapy. Please help. Trigger warning for bullying. This was originally posted in Legal Advice. Original post September 16, 2019. My daughter is 6 and just started the first grade. The school has brought in a wildlife instructor to show them some animals. So my daughter hates snakes, and that was one of the animals they brought. I think we read this originally. No, we couldn't have. Let me check something. It had to be snakes. How did I do that? That was dumb. Oh, shoot. I wasn't supposed to do that. This is something really bad. Okay, got that back. Okay, there we go. I did have this tagged somehow. But I don't remember why. That's not it. Gosh, the other one was so bad, it messed me up so bad. There's no way you read this before. Don't know why I had this. Okay. All right. If we've read it before, I guess we're gonna read it again because I can't find it. Oh, it does. I know I've read it before. Okay, best offender updates. My daughter's suspended from school for 2 weeks, and school will only let her back if she gets unnecessary therapy. Please help. Originally post in legal advice on September 16th, 2019. My daughter is 6 and just started first grade. The school board and wildlife instructor should show th- them some animals. My daughter hates snakes, and that was one of the animals she brought. The instructor told her to touch the snake. She said no. The teacher told her to touch the snake. She said no. Again. Both the instructor and the teacher began pressuring her to touch the snake and told her they wouldn't move on until she did. She started crying and ran out into the hallway. She stayed in the hall right outside the door. This is the story from the teacher, FYI, so I know my daughter isn't lying or exaggerating. I got a call from the school, and the principal said that running out of classroom without permission is an automatic 2-week suspension. That's ridiculous. For a 6-year-old, that's ridiculous. When I heard the story, I asked why they hadn't just let her. Why they didn't just. When I heard the story, I asked why they didn't just let her not touch the snake. It seems to me that she had a fairly expected reaction for a 6-year-old in that situation. They said that they were doing exposure therapy and were working to make sure she got over her irrational fears. First of all, fear of snakes not irrational. Snakes can kill you, not an irrational fear. Second of all, that is not exposure therapy. That is terrorizing a child. I asked them if there was any way they could change the suspensions since I can't afford unexpected childcare for 2 weeks. They said they would waive it if I could show proof of getting her therapy for her fear of snakes. She doesn't need that. Fear of snakes is not a phobia. Frankly, I can't afford therapy. Even if I could, there are many things that my daughter could make better use of than therapy for fear of snakes when we live in a city and rarely encounter snakes. I'm furious with the school and also at a loss. Can the school put her through exposure therapy without my permission? Would a lawyer help me get back into school? Are there legal remedies here? Please help. TIA. TIAs. Thank you in advance. Relevant comment from Narragansett. Escalate up the chain. If they still ignore you, inform them that you will file a complaint with the state Department of Education due to the principal's statement that they were doing exposure therapy and your daughter's fear of snakes was irrational. This should freak him out because 1, you're reporting them to the state, which will involve investigation that they may not want. 2, none of the people involved in the incidents are licensed mental health professionals, and the teacher was practicing outside the scope of her license. That will put her in hot water for the state. OOP says his. This teacher's a boy. Teacher's a guy. A boy, I would say. I don't believe for a second they were actually trying to do exposure therapy. I think they pushed her too hard and made something up to justify it. It was supposed to be a fun educational class visit. Same person says, since they made the claim that they were doing exposure therapy, that leaves them open to the potential consequences of their actions. In trying to justify them, they have to dig themselves out of a very deep hole. They would have been better off admitting they screwed up. Exactly. Also, 1-star review for whoever was there with the snake, because those people rely on their reviews to get more schools to sign up for their program. Wing Girl says, I'm a mental health professional. I do mental health assessment for schools. I've never done anything like this before. It seems way over the top. Most of my cases are neglect, abuse, drug use, defiant behaviors, major learning disorders, etc. Would the school accept a second opinion? OP says, I don't know. They said they need proof she's in therapy, and that's the only option they presented other than the suspension. Update, October 4th, 2019, 3 weeks later. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your responses to my last post. After reading everything, I called and emailed the superintendent describing what happened. I got a call back almost immediately after they explained the situation. The superintendent told me to call the principal, but there was no way my daughter was suspended for 2 weeks. Got a call about an hour later letting me know that my daughter would come back to school the next day, but would be placed in a different class. Good. She doesn't need to be exposed to her torture anymore. I received apologies from the district and from the principal himself, though I figure it's probably not a genuine apology, but whatever. Thanks for your help. Link. We're calling him Link. It's not his name. Says this is not how exposure therapy works, even remotely. Exposure therapy must be brought up and worked on by the patient and cannot be forced upon them. That's just traumatizing them. Ellie Geisler says, yep, I've done exposure therapy, and not only does it have to be involuntary and consensual only, but also touching a steak would be the last thing on her exposure hierarchy because it's 100/100 scary for her. Lower down stuff you would need to complete before touching the real snake, which might be watching a cartoon of a cute snake. Let's say it's 2100 scary. Touching a toy snake, 5100. Looking at pictures of real snakes, 7100. Imagining touching a real snake, 8100. Only when those things feel boring or at least tolerable would a competent exposure therapist even think about asking her if she felt ready to touch a real snake. Actually, they'd have her be around snakes for a while first to get her used to the idea. First in a tank and then out of the tank, being held by somebody else, maybe eventually slithering around on the floor. Long time to go before you touch a snake, if you don't want to touch a snake. I think exposure therapy is extremely valuable and worthwhile, but not at age 6. As a dad, somebody pointed out, apply a law, another step before touching a snake might be in the same room as the snake, possibly multiple times closer to the snake each time. Exactly. I used to work in a mental health place, so there was somebody there doing exposure therapy. So I know a little bit about it. Sob, a bare minimum, says, I'd like to be a fly on the wall during the conversation between the superintendent and the principal. Business Sessions is stating the exposure therapy statement was possibly, I would say probably, illegal liability with none of them being licensed for that. Moving to the child to a different class probably solved both appeasing the parent and to avoid the extra work of formally reprimanding the teacher or reviewing the guest visitor had the appropriate approvals to be on site with the animals to begin with. Seven Umbrella says, absolutely, I'm not a lawyer, but if they put exposure therapy nonsense in writing, that feels like an easy lawsuit to win. They literally admitted that they had a unlicensed person practicing therapy on minors without their parents' knowledge or consent. I understand not wanting to escalate, especially moving classes felt like it resolved the issue. OOP priority has to be her kids' well-being, but that whole situation was messed up. Poor kid. When the cat meows says, I'm a snake lover, but I would never call fear of snakes irrational. It's one of our most natural human fears, extremely common to experience. Imagine telling a 6-year-old they're suspended for not touching a snake. I would raise hell. I would too. And lastly, we have Made Me Smile. Why is this even higher than one last time? Is entitled An Aquarium After Closing Time. Some clever little otter pups help their grandpa tidy up their toys. As a reward, he gives them ice cubes. All right, again. Look at the otters giving them the stuff. They're so cute. Go get some more stuff. There's no sound. The sound is on. There's no sound on this one. It's probably a security camera or something. Ice cubes. Giant ice cubes. That's so cute. I guess they like the ice cubes. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope you have a good weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Remember, next week starts 3 days a week instead of 4. So we will be doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. No. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or maybe I should do Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Let me know what you want in the comments. planning right now on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I will be um Wednesday will still be sketch because I'm still shopping on Wednesday. Will be 11:30 on Wednesdays because I'm still shopping on Wednesdays after this. Everyone have a good weekend. Love you all. Love my biddies. Bye, biddies. Have a great weekend. Bye. Love you all. Bye.